Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Thursday, July 25th. I hope everyone's having a great day. We're in the midst of training camp, NFL training camp, and with that, conversations relating to the Detroit Lions, which we'll get into everything that happened today. We're going to have MicroMike on the show. He'll help us break down some of training camp as well. We'll get into, honestly, credit to John, credit to all the beat writers, because we have a lot of information, stuff that happened today that, obviously the people weren't there yet. But let's get into it, boys. How are we feeling today?
Feeling great, fellas. Can't wait. Heard there was some kicking battles that went on today at camp, and I know Doc said that nothing was yesterday, so I'm excited to dive into that as well. But great day. Day 2 officially for the Lions, and excited to break it down with you, fellas.
Jake Bates. He's got a cannon.
So I've been hearing.
Yeah. That's what I was told. Boone?
Feel good.
Okay.
Ready to roll. Detroit
right.
training camp, baby. Hey, let's just go. We got some training. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of things to do. And I think MicroMike joining today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but yeah, he is.
There we go. We got people coming on. We're good here. We're locked in. We got a big show. Pumped.
There were some people down at training camp. Calista Shields was in attendance. The multi champ had all her belts there as well. Which Dan Campbell, she was teaching Amon-Ra St. Brown how to box, Tara and Arnold how to box. I mean, she was giving some. They don't fight. They're not fighting out there in the NFL, but hey, she was out there supporting. I think she's from Flint, if I'm not mistaken. So, she's one of the greatest. So it was nice to see her out there. Hulk Hogan was there. Hey, not a good
controversy.
Not a good look. Yeah, not someone you necessarily want down there. But at the end of the day, he was. People that are bringing publicity to the Lions, maybe some people not as good as other people. People are still showing up to watch the Lions. Check them out. So hey, they're in officially that territory now where they're on the map. People are coming to check training camp out. I mean, you had Busted with the Boys there, Terrell Williams, Will Compton. They were there as well. So hey, it's booming, and we'll be there next week. So I can't wait. Hopefully we see some people on there.
I'm hyped for it too. Yeah, to your point, I don't think you see people, especially like there's people that are not Detroit Lions fans starting to go down to Allen Park. They want to see what the hype's all about. And I just think the Lions are doing a good job. I know there's a lot of controversy with the Hulk Hogan thing, but for Dan Campbell, I don't think there should be any backlash with him in that regard. Like if you have any questions about Dan Campbell's character, just look at that locker room. So I think people that make that into a storyline is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was taken aback today. I didn't know the whole backstory behind the Hulk Hogan stuff. I guess I wasn't educated. I don't know about you guys. I did not know. I obviously knew it was at the political stuff. I don't know. It feels like in today's world, there's always some sort of cancel culture or whatever it is. Obviously, you can't. There's some things that are, you know what I mean, like not good to do, but. I didn't realize all this stuff until about an hour after everyone, Hulk Hogan stuff started getting posted, everything that was going on. And I was like, it's Hulk Hogan, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like,
yeah, brother.
Yeah. He's done actually some very messed up shit.
Yeah,
for sure.
But like Dan Campbell, I think there's people giving Lions and like Dan Campbell flack. Like, what is Dan supposed to do? The guy shows up. What do you want Dan to do? Like,
yes.
Get the hell out. He's just kind of like, hey, cordial.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. We don't obviously support.
I'm sure Dan Campbell is probably a wrestling fan growing up. So like, you can't Hulk Hogan shows up. You're like, whoa, that's Hulk Hogan. Like, whoa. So I don't know. I just think it's great. Like, not crazy, but it's just like we posted it, and there some of the comments is like we're just reporting what happened at camp today. Hulk Hogan showed up, so we're gonna put it. Same with all the beat writers. Yeah, the beat writers are putting it out. People are putting it out, and everyone's getting backlash for tweeting it and putting it out. And it's like everyone's just doing their job. Like Hulk Hogan showed up, and Lions are posting it, and people are posting it. People are gonna post it and push it out. Like don't go at the messenger, man. Like, geez, crazy.
Yeah, it is. Social media was. But our social media, people commenting like mad that we shared it. But hey,
we had people like. Or I'm unfollowing, I'm subscribing. Like, dude, we're sharing news. Wow. Like, we're letting you know what's going on at training camp. Hulk Hogan showed up. Taylor Lewan and Will Compton showed up. Like, people are showing up. Here you go.
Hey, I know who showed up. Hey, Sione Vaki in this drill, in some of these drills. He was.
Let me see. I haven't seen these yet. I haven't seen them yet.
Sione Vaki. This is from John. By the way. Shout out to John. He was moving. This is from at Detroit Podcast.
Looks good.
I mean, yeah, he can do it all. Hey, Klotzy, give this man the football. Watch him work.
His footwork, I mean, playing DB, it takes a lot of good footwork. So I don't think there's going to be much adjustment there. Now, obviously, through the drills and playing running back, he's still going to be adjusting to. But the man, fundamentally, you have to be a very smart and aware football player, especially with your coordination. If you're playing safety, running back, punt returner, kick return, etc. Like if you're that type of player, you just have to be a very smart and aware player. And he's a very physical player. So he's going to be a playmaker for this team. I'm excited. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be the best player out of this draft class, but in my opinion, he's my favorite. Well, not even my opinion, for a fact that he's my favorite player out of this draft class.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a matter of time probably before Sione Vaki gets the RB3 job. We have to go. Obviously, I want to be able to go and see him in person and see what he looks like. We see those videos. I just think like what he has and the skill set, everything he can bring to the table, I don't see how there's not an opportunity for him to take that RB3. And I know Craig Reynolds, I do think they keep 4 running backs. I think there's a chance you see 4, but I think once you get going, like this guy's a rookie and he's already like, you're hearing stuff about him at training camp. You already saw what he could do in college. Like this guy is, he's like an ideal RB3 who could probably go kick, return balls. And I'm just going to say he's going to be RB3. I'm sorry, Craig. I'm a fan, Craig. We're a fan. I'm a fan. Jeff, you're muted, dude. You have to be a professional on this show here. You have to become a pro.
Well, that was partially
at
me
some
being
point
professional because I was moving something, so I didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
All right, half and half here. We'll give you a little credit.
He needs somebody in the booth. He needs somebody in the booth for him.
Yeah, hey, it's different. You're doing it your own. I'm getting used to it. That's on me. But yeah, also on top of that, Sione Vaki doing some drills. We'll get to a bunch of other players. Dan Campbell, a lot of clips from him speaking to the media. We're going to play. But before we get to all of that, can we just acknowledge the fact that Jake Bates was on an absolute mission today? We tweeted this out on our Twitter at @officialCTPod per John McAroon at Detroit Podcast. But it reads here, Bates reportedly went 6 for 6 at practice today, including a 52 and 50-yard field goal. So, hey, that's about Bagley range. Yep. It's about Bagley range. If you can get 50, you're good. You're it's consistently, at least. You're good. Shift God. This isn't me. This is Shift God saying this in the chat. Badgley, get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. I didn't say it. He said it. But what do you think, boys?
Go ahead, Boone.
Go Kotze.
I would say, I get it. It's good to hear. But again, my opinion on Jake Bates, even if my opinion on him negatively could definitely change, because if he were to go out there and shank it, then it's all right, this guy, it's different. But again, he's doing his job so far. But I am not going to get on the Jake Bates hype train until he's in an actual game situation and he drills one of those things. Not saying that he can't do it, but I need to believe it before I see it, because there's a lot of kickers that come in the league for a little bit. They got some hype through training camp because they have a big leg. But then when it comes down to it, kicker, it's just pretty much you have the ability if you're in the NFL. Every NFL kicker can kick the 48-yarders to 50-yarders, at least I'd hope, if you're on an active roster, but it's mental. And I think there's a lot of things that come with that, and especially in big situation and big stages with this Lions team's going to be. Michael Badgley is a guy that he doesn't have the biggest leg, but I think he's pretty consistent. Dan Campbell knows what he has in him, and I think that's what it matters most. He's got to build that connection with Dan Campbell, and it's going to be hard to if Michael Badgley is just staying consistent. So could he be the kicker of this team? Absolutely, but I don't think you can't say that after one day in training
camp. Interesting. Let's go back 365 days ago when. All right, let's just be honest here. Michael Badgley wasn't always trusted by Dan Campbell. Michael Badgley got cut for Riley Patterson. And then, yes, he came back and got a job back because Riley Patterson, he gets cut and they trust Michael Badgley. So I don't think this is more so of a thing where it's I do think, yes, you do want to see a little bit more. And I don't think it's more in game situations. I just think it's more like, hey, if he goes 6 for 6 today, Michael Badgley misses a couple kicks. Okay, one's not being inconsistent. The other one is. Let's not forget in minicamp, Michael Badgley was in a kicking battle with James Turner, and the only reason James Turner is out of there is because they brought in Jake Bates. That's the only reason. So like James Turner was out kicking Michael Badgley in minicamp and OTAs. And then now the first day, they didn't have any kicking battles yesterday, but today they have some. And Jake Bates goes out there and 6 for 6 and is automatic, like already like, wow, this kid's legit. The only thing that will hold Jake Bates back is if he's not consistent in like those short kicks. And if he can be consistent like Michael Badgley and he has the leg, it's Jake Bates' job it's his job, and there's no question behind it. Like we know what Michael Badgley is. Yeah, he's consistent. Like you can trust him. If Jake Bates gets that down and he goes 6 for 6 every day for training camp, like he's gonna have some misses. But if he's consistently just making those short kicks, those 40-yarders, those 30-yarders, it's his job because he's gonna take that job easily because he has the bigger leg at the end of the day. Like that's just a fact. There's no way around it. He has the higher ceiling as a kicker. He has a star potential as a kicker, just like Brandon Aubrey did, just like some of these other guys in the league do that are on the Chiefs and the 49ers, all these other Jake Moody's. Like he has those types of legs, which Michael Badgley does not. So like if he stays consistent, like day one already, he's 6 for 6 and he went out there and he was consistent. If he keeps doing that, it's his job. And Michael Badgley, just like he got cut last year, he'll be getting cut for a second straight year at training camp.
Yeah,
okay. I mean, I agree with you. The ceiling is definitely higher, but the consistency, I don't think it matters in training camp. It matters in the games. And you're not going to be patient with a kicker. You know what I mean? Like if you're going through a bad stretch as a kicker, the league moves on from you unless you're a guy that's already established. And Brandon Aubrey, yes, I guess that's an exception. But you look at Jake Moody, kicking in national championship games with Michigan and college football games with Michigan in big moments. That, like I said, it's all mental. And that's the switch over that you have to see because there are some guys, you saw Roberto Aguayo was supposed to be resetting what a kicker looks like. You can draft him in the second round. Like, what the hell are you doing drafting a kicker in the second round? Because look at him. He ended up being a bad kicker because the stage and the lights were too bright consistently for him. And then what did they do? They're not going to let you develop. They're moving on. They want to get Ryan Suckup. Ryan Suckup was their kicker when they won a Super Bowl, and they were just fine. And he was a good
off
kicker.
The Jake Bates train, like quick.
No, I'm not. See, exactly. Like I'm not off the Jake Bates train, but I'm not.
It sounds like
full steam ahead. Like no, I'm not just going to act like this man is just starbomb. Like he can be potentially, but I'm not going to be just absolutely switching over like this dude's just the next legend in the making in Detroit off of one day of camp. Could he be that? Possibly. Has the ceiling to do it. I need to see it first.
Booner knows what he's doing. He's doing the
sounds like a safe
stuff.
Sounds like a safe take for Klotz. If he works out, I said that he has the potential. If he doesn't, I told you guys it was bad.
It's not a slappy take.
It's not a slappy take. It's a legit football take. If Jake Bates is consistent, he's got the better leg. At the end of the day, like if he
that's the whole thing.
He was 6
for
6 today, made 2 outside of 50, and went 4 for 4 inside of 50. If he goes 4 for 4 inside of 50 every single day in camp, that man's going to win the job, whether he misses long kicks or not, because he has those long kick potential. Like that's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the case for every NFL kicker.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. What you just said, Lukas, fair. It's cute actually, but I disagree. All right, because tough. Jake Bates will overcome. He will be out there. Where was the Badgley reporting? Did you get? I didn't catch.
Didn't hear one thing. He must have missed some kicks at that point.
I mean, if Jake Bates is having a good day, Michael Badgley's probably in Michael Badgley. So where are the headlines going to go?
I'm just saying. I don't have any information at this point in time that can confirm or deny if Michael Badgley he had a good day. I don't know, but what I can tell you is I have faith that Jake Bates can continue this. Now, to your point, Lukas, Booner, you mentioned this. It's fair. You want to see him in a stadium with 60,000 people. We went through that. But I'm with Booner. The talent's there. He's got a cannon of a leg. And I don't think him going into Ford Field, it'll be an adjustment. And we're talking ahead, obviously, but preseason, all this stuff. I don't think he'll be phased. Like the way watching, or I didn't watch it, but listening and reading, I should say reading the interview and then watching an interview with John that he had with Jake Bates. How the dude prepares and his mindset when kicking, it seems like he has a very strong mindset. Like he doesn't really get phased too often. Like he seems tough, mentally tough. I have a good feeling about Jake Bates. I think he's gonna. You
know what it is, boys. Honestly, what did we see when we went to the Panthers game? What did we see?
He missed a kick. He missed a kick
inside the 40 when the stage is not that big and all that. And I get you're gonna miss some kicks, but I'm telling you, like if you're gonna move off of that. We already talked about it. Dan Campbell, when it's going to be close to 50-yarder, he's probably going to try to go for it. Where you really need to get the points with this offense is inside the 40, inside the 45. Michael Badgley does that. I'm not saying you need to make sure that Jake Bates never sees the field, but I just think like the path for Jake Bates being the next Justin Tucker, like let's just pump the brakes a tad is all I'm saying.
I don't want to. Well, I'm not starting that narrative. He's not Justin Tucker, but I think he's better than Michael Badgley. I do.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And I think that'll show that.
No doubt.
And I think in game situations, you'll see it. He'll be comfortable.
And if you're gonna if we're gonna use that against Badgley or Jake Bates, which I agree, like that when we saw that, I was a little like what's going on here? But like Badgley, again, in the mini camp and OTAs, Badgley's missing all these kicks, and reports are coming out that he's going 1 for 4, 2 for 5, 3 for 6. And you're like, what's going on with Badgley? So it's like, for me, if Badgley's in training camp with a battle with James Turner, and he's having a little bit of pressure with the battle, a guy that's coming from Michigan and is right on his you-know-what, and he's saying, hey, I'm coming for your job, and Badgley is missing kicks. And last year when Badgley was going into battle with Riley Patterson and loses a battle to Riley Patterson, like, yeah, he made the Rams kick. Like, he made a kick for the Rams to win a playoff game and put us over. That's a big kick. But like, when you're, again, to your point, like, you're consistently trying to get a guy that's at a higher level, an elite kicker. Like every time Badgley, he's missed all these kicks in battle with James Turner. He lost the battle to Riley Patterson last year. Now he's in another battle with Jake Bates. It's like, all right, like, this is a consistently battle, and he's consistently missing kicks in these battles. And yeah, he might have hit one big kick in the regular season, and he has hit some kicks, but that's a question mark to where it's like, there is a reason Dan Campbell, yes, I know Dan Campbell's aggressive. There is a reason his mind goes towards going for it a little more often than not when he has a Badgley as a kicker. Like, as much as he says he trusts him, that let's all look in the mirror. Like, we know that's a lie. Like, he doesn't trust him as much as if he had Justin Tucker or Brandon Aubrey in the field or Jake Moody. He would trust those guys 100 times more than he would trust a Michael Badgley. And we can all agree with that. And that's true. And that's the type of guy you're trying to look for. And Jake Bates gets consistent with those. And if he's in this battle and he's just out there making kicks and not missing, you have to go with him. Like, you have to.
I agree with that. That happens, all I'm saying is I think people are automatically guaranteeing that, and I'm just not 100% guaranteeing that. That's all I'm saying. Like, I need to see kicks and not even have to be big moments. Like, even if it's to put you up by 3 in the second quarter, like, I just need to see consistent kicking, because kicker is one of the more inconsistent positions in football. And I agree with you. Like, it is a question mark. Michael Badgley is not the solution for kicker, but I'm not saying that Jake Bates 100% is yet either. Like, we're in training camp. We are in training camp.
Hey, so Klotz, where are you at on a scale from 1 to 10? In confidence?
Jake Bates working out?
Yeah.
Like a 6 or 7.
Did it change at all today? Did not change.
No, it did stay. We literally talked about, to open up this segment, how it was from Michael Badgley range. Like, he was hitting a 50 to 52 yarder. James Turner was doing that.
52.
Like, that's why I'm saying, like, and I'm not saying he's James Turner.
We didn't hear Michael Badgley hitting a 50 to 52 yarder.
If Michael Badgley hit a 52 yarder, I'd be like,
I'm gonna make a text. I'm gonna shoot a text right now.
Like, if Jared Goff goes out there and throws a 60-yard pass in training camp today, is that changing your opinion about his arm? No. Because at the end of the day, what matters is what you see in games.
Yeah, I do agree.
And that's why I'm saying, like, what I just need to see it in a game before I'm like, you know what, 10. Because I think that truly does matter, in my opinion. I think there's some positions where you look at a player like Jahmyr Gibbs, and you're like, you know what, he's going to get the opportunity. Look at the situation around good offensive line kicker. It's really on you. And it's really not so much of a skill set and being better than somebody. You have to be better than your weakness, which is up here. You don't
I thought you just hit me with the, I thought you just hit it with the, I was saying, put those hands down.
No, I'm not.
There's two, all right. And I know we don't want to be on this kicker conversation all day, but there's two things with this real quick. I would get your point a little bit more, Klotzy, if we're talking about maybe not like a veteran kicker, like one of these tier 1 kickers, but if we're talking about a guy who's been in the league and has gone through 8-9 years and has made multiple big kicks throughout his year, who's been able to hit 55-yard kicks, who's done this, who's done that, and you're like, hey, there's a battle now, like, you can have a conversation with him and Jake Bates. I would understand that. We're talking about Michael Badgley, though. Like, that's where my mind wraps around it, where it's a little bit more easier for us to say, hey, we might actually have a legit upgrade at a kicker, which is like crazy that our conversations for the Lions is kicker because we have such a good football team. But like, that's my mindset, to where it's like, it's Badgley. It's someone that you cut in training camp a year ago. It's someone who's only made one really just one big time kick in the last season on your football team. Now, if he's been on your team for 2 or 3 years and he's made multiple kicks to win you an NFC North, that's won you 7 games in the last 2 years, all these different things, then I would be like, yeah, like this is a legit battle. Like we're legit, like Bates has to go out there and earn it. I don't think that's the case. Like I appreciate Badgley making some kicks and winning the Rams game and doing what he did. This is not a guy to where it's like, hey, he's a roster lock and Jake Bates has to go take it for him. No, to me, it's like they're on the same level. They're on the playing field right now. Like Bates has the advantage of having a stronger leg, and Badgley has the advantage of having the trust of Dan Campbell and have already made kicks in the NFL. Now, I think that evens it out because Badgley can't do that, and Bates can't go out there and say he's done those things already. So like there is a negative and a positive to both. I think the battle is like, boom, who best man wins. I don't think there's like a big, like he has to catch up to him. Like no, there's no chance. Like it is level playing field, best man wins. It was the same thing last year with Riley Patterson and Badgley. It was level playing field, best man wins. You're both going to get kicks in the preseason. Let's see who can make them.
I mean,
yeah, that's more.
Fair.
It's got to see more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't hate that. My take is I think you will see that. That's my belief in Badgley. I mean, Coach Walk 37 says, "I'll ask you boys again. Do you think they'll keep both kickers?" At least this is my thought on it. You know, it's like when you're running, like when teams are whatever, you're running like 2 quarterbacks. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. Like in my opinion, like if you have 2 kickers, you don't really have a kicker. You just have 2 guys. You're like kind of figuring out who's the kicker. Like you don't have a de facto. This is the guy. So I don't think they'll keep both. I think they'll cut one of these guys, in my opinion. So I don't know where you guys are at. I don't think
I'm waiting to confirm if I can tell the boys this. I did just get a text from the doc about
what do you say
about. I'm waiting. I just texted him and said, "Hey, can I share this? Can I share this information?" But
let's play this. Let's play this clip of Dan Campbell. Well, now I gotta wait, and I kind of want to wait. See what
if he says no, then I apologize for bringing it up. It's about Michael Badgley.
I want to see. Yeah. I want to see what he says.
All right, I'm gonna wait.
Okay. All right. Did he answer?
Yeah, he did answer, but
get to it.
A little bit in the show. I don't want to say what it says, but I'll wait.
Okay. Well, then we'll revisit it then, I guess, at some point in the show. Okay. All right. Here's Dan Campbell talking about Brian Branch. We have him on Houston, Brian Branch, the D line. Let's start with Brian Branch. See what he had to say.
Way back the depth chart before he suffered the ankle injury. Taking some second team reps yesterday. Seems like he's kind of back on the up. What have you seen from him, year to year in terms of doing what you were asking, expecting of him?
Well, I know this. He's in shape, and he knows he's got to be able to handle the SAM linebacker position for us, and no different than what we just talked about, man. Consistency. We got to be able to trust that he's gonna do what he needs to do, and that whatever we call, whatever defense we call, he's going to handle it mentally, and we can trust that. And so, we anticipate him taking another step forward. And then on top of that, the sub game, he goes in at defensive end and some of the rush, and just continue to work on his counter moves in the rush game. So, look, this will be a big camp for him. He knows that. And I know this. He's in good shape. He looks good. He feels good. And so we're excited to have him back out there.
Well, that was Houston.
Yeah.
That was Houston. But you get the point there. They're playing for James Houston. We'll get to the Brian Branch one a little bit here. We're going to have MicroMike on, so we want to get through and talk to him, and then we'll revisit. But James Houston, Sam linebacker position, something that they experimented with him a little bit because of his size. He can move. He's not like, he's not 6'6". Was he about 6'2"?
He's got a little agility to him.
Maybe 6'1", 6'2". It's hard. You can't, not saying you can't question anything, but it's hard to question a lot of things that Dan and these guys do when usually it's for the betterment of the player. Usually it works with players. They develop correctly. So, hey, we'll see. But the health concerns are the biggest thing, and he's healthy, so that's all that matters.
By the way, too, I'll just throw this out there. I got the Badgley situation. Badgley took no kicks today. Not sure what it was. That was kind of what I was told was he took no kicks. They don't know why or anything. It was just all Jake Bates today. So I don't know if that was, hey, Jake Bates is. I don't know. We'll just stick with that, and then if we hear why, maybe if there was like something going on the back end, that was why I was like, I don't know if I could say it yet. But Badgley took 0 kicks today. Interesting development. Very interesting.
Yeah, probably dealing with something. Who knows?
The battle starts to turn a little bit when the other guy's not taking kicks. When you have one guy kicking the ball and the other one's sitting on the sideline, it's a problem.
Hey. Well, let's bring on Mike. We'll save this Houston stuff, and we'll bring on our good friend MicroMike, which you guys can check out his stuff if you haven't already. Lions Talk by Chat Sports. Please welcome to the show, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. MicroMike. Mike, let me get him in here real quick. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, I'm in here now, so I'm doing really, really good. Thank you for having me on. Excited.
Well, Mike, we're very happy you're here. I know you've been seeing what's been transpiring around training camp, and I'll start with this: the Jake Bates and Michael Badgley battle. That Badgley didn't kick today, but Jake Bates, we all know what he can bring to the table. I asked Klotz this, and let's go from 1 to 10. What's kind of your confidence level that Jake Bates ultimately steals this job?
Look, this is a close battle, but I do think ultimately that Jake Bates is going to get the job. But I actually 100% agree with Klotz here saying that you got to do it in a preseason game. How many times have we seen players in any position, do great in training camp? You got to go on the field and prove it. And guess what? We got 3 preseason games to do it. And I think Jake Bates is up to the task. So, a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably go now at 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. I feel like that he will get the job.
Love it.
Wow. And Mike, appreciate you joining the show again. I want to ask you this: all the training camp news, everything coming out. Do you have just a player or something that you've heard that might be concerning right away? Just the first week here, first couple of days. Is there a player that you're looking at like, hey, let's keep an eye on him? What I've been hearing is a little concerning, or anything like that you kind of feel like going forward?
We haven't heard a whole lot of negative when it comes to the players for the Detroit Lions right now in training camp, but I guess saying nothing could be a negative, and I haven't heard a whole lot really of Joshua Pascal. I would like to see, how well is he performing? I know he plays an interior and the outside, but this is his 3rd year, so I'd like to hear a little bit about him. And when it comes to training camp, I'd like to hear more about James Mitchell, the 3rd-year tight end now. And I haven't heard a whole lot on him either. So I think not hearing stuff says a little bit, but I would like to hear the progress and how these players are doing. Negative, though, in all honesty, not much. This training camp has gone great so far. When you have Jameson Williams puking, that's always a positive thing that had me laughing, but he's been great. So far, so good for Lions training camp.
Yeah, great having you on, Mike. Where are you hiding out at right now?
I'm on a porch. I'm definitely on a porch right now. Getting a little bit, trying to get a little bit of the weather without having the bugs in my face. So that's a nice little wrinkle.
Enjoying the nature. Well, something that we kind of hit it on yesterday. I posted about it on Twitter earlier, and it's something that I think is going to be very interesting to watch is Emmanuel Moseley, because with Brian Branster moving him to safety, and now Mosley's playing a lot more nickel, and you think about it, he's a veteran for one. He's played in big games. He's a man-to-man corner, especially in the nickel. That's nice to have, and he can hit. And with a lot of inexperience with Ennis Rakestraw and then Amik Robertson, obviously he's been proven, but he's still got to learn that scheme a little bit. What do you think the chances of Emmanuel Moseley playing early on in the season are?
I like Emmanuel Moseley. I remember we re-signed him, and there are a lot of people irritated with that. And I'm like, look, if he's healthy, he's a really solid player. And what we've seen so far in training camp, he's been healthy, and he's playing at the nickel. And look, if he stays healthy, he was good at San Francisco, really good. And you're just adding to the depth of this secondary that's extremely well. Do I think that he could play? I think he could play in some instances here. He could play on the outside. We already know that, but he's getting time at the nickel position as well. Look, Ennis Rakestraw, he's a developmental player right now, and I would put Emmanuel Moseley above him. And if there's an injury to Amik Robertson at the nickel corner, you could see a situation where Moseley comes in. Or if there's an injury to the outside of Terrion Arnold or Carlton Davis, he's my wild card in the secondary, and I'm very happy to see what's taking place so far in training camp with Moseley.
Yeah, Mike, one player I'm absolutely high on, and I think this training camp you will start to the playing field will be even with Anzalone, or I think close to is with Jack Campbell. And Anzalone's been playing at a high level. Lukas is very confident in Anzalone, thinks he'll still be your best linebacker this year, which I don't hate at all. Where are you at with Jack Campbell this training camp? How big of a training camp is it for him, and kind of your confidence level that he can ultimately close the gap between him and Anzalone? And if those guys both play at a high level, you got a pretty good linebacker core, Mike.
Yeah, I'm very confident he's going to take that next step, right? He's shown progress in OTAs and minicamp. He's starting to really understand the scheme and reacting a little bit faster than they usually do, and he's big body, right? He's a big body. So I don't know if he's going to be to the Alex Anzalone point. You know, Alex Anzalone right now is pretty much the leader in that room. He's going to be on the field, but his ceiling is higher. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I think this year, it's more him and Derek Barnes. And then next year, I would say, I think Jack Campbell's pretty much going to take over that room. But yeah, he's going to take that next step. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
Mike, I think the biggest conversation here at training camp, Jameis Winston, Jamo going out there and kind of just dominating. And we've seen 2 days now out in the public with media there. And both days, Jamo has been kind of the conversation, whether it's him getting better in the middle of the field, making big catches, beating guys off the line, like just everything he's dominating. What are your expectations for him? And do you think, like, and I hear a lot of people talk about it, Lions already had a top 5 offense. And then if you add a Jamo in there with the speed he has, that it could make them the best offense in the NFL. Do you think that can happen with Jameson Williams?
Yeah, this is something I've been preaching since we drafted this young man, is you need to be patient with some players. Some players simply just don't learn as fast as other players. And clearly his development was hurt due to his injury. And then obviously with the suspension hurt him a little bit. But you saw at the end of the season, Jameson Williams wasn't just a decoy type of player. He was doing catches within 5 yards, 10 yards. And we already know he could do the deep route. And we're seeing it right now of his progression. His body's in more in physical shape. He is much healthier. He's stronger. He's leaner. He's faster. And guess what, folks? Him and Jared Goff are now on the same page. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time with Jared Goff. Took a little bit of time for St. Brown and him to get on the same page. I'm sure it took him and Josh Reynolds when they were with the Rams to get on the same page. And guess what? It's finally happened with Jameson Williams. A lot of people called this man a bust. A lot of people wanted to get rid of him and trade him. And I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And being patient with some players is exactly what sometimes needed to be. And now we're seeing it in training camp that who is breaking out? In all of training camp, it's Jameson Williams. He's beating everybody. It's starting to come together. He is going to be a threat. He's going to be a legit number 2. And with his, if he can take it to the length that I think he can, the Lions have a legit shot to, again, be a team with a top 3 offense, burning you from the deep pass and burning you from the inside. This team is good, and Jameson Williams a big part of that.
Love that, Mike. I love to hear that.
And Mike, with DJ Reader, it sounds like he's healthy. I know he's dealing with the quad injury, and I know he's healthy, but they didn't want him going at camp. Do you think early on then, and then also early on to go with this, with the camp from what you've seen so far, it seems like it's going to be Broderick or Levi behind him? 1, do you think DJ's probably going to be good to go week 1? And 2, if he's not, do you think it's pretty much Broderick Martin's job to lose at that point behind DJ?
DJ Reader is not injured anymore. It's 100% healed. They're slowly working him in. Remember, he's a big guy. He's not like he's our size. We're talking a lot of weight on this big man. So they're slowly going to work him into and get into football shape before week 1. I have no doubt that he'll play week 1. Absolutely. When it comes to the backup role and rotation, now this is fun because Levi and Uzurike has taken a significant step forward. This is a big leap for this young man. And Broderick Martin also has gotten physical shape. He took the Aleem McNeil approach. These two are going to battle it out, I guess, for the first rotational piece. And it's a win-win for the team because both of these players are showing out right now. That's amazing. That's just absolutely amazing. It shows the depth in the competition. I don't know who's going to win it between those two or who will get more snaps on Sunday or Monday or Thursday. But all I know is both these players are trending in the right direction, and the Lions' interior defensive line is going to be a strength of this defense.
Yeah, Mike, we'll stay with the wide receiver core. I got DPJ. I got faith in him, Mike. I do. I think the DPJ, slander, if you will, is a little extreme. I think he, again, OTA's minicamp wasn't talked about a lot. what's your take on kind of the back of that wide receiver core, your concern level, and then your confidence level in DPJ potentially filling that wide receiver? It would be 4 role, essentially, maybe even 3. We'll see.
If you told me Donovan Peoples-Jones got to fill in a number 2 role, I would be concerned. When you're talking about the 4th wide receiver, I'm not concerned at all. I think he can fill that spot just fine. And there's been a player I've been talking about all off season. That's Darius Fountain, wide receiver, 6'2", big body. And he's been showing out in training camp. And I've been saying this guy is the sleeper to watch for the Lions wide receiver position. I think he's going to make the team. I've been saying it for a while. And it'll be interesting to see if he actually jumps Donovan Peoples-Jones, where you could see a Fountain be a 4 and a DPJ be a 5. And that's great for the Lions wide receivers. That's just outstanding. That's just great depth. I'm not too concerned about this position. I haven't been. I'm glad I banked on Fountain, and he's starting to pay off. Now, look, this is just training camp. We don't even have pads on. But this has been a trend from OTAs and minicamp to now. Once the pads come on and once game day occurs, I want to see how he performs. And if he's catching footballs and making plays, I don't think we need to be concerned about the wide receiver position at that point. Because you're talking about him being a 4, Donovan Peoples-Jones being a 5. And what, if they want to go 6, you got Antoine Green. That's pretty good. And I'm confident in Khalif and JMO and obviously St. Brown. So I'm not too concerned about it at this moment.
Mike, I want to throw this out there too real quick, because I think the biggest concern, at least on my end, if we do look at this football team, one of the biggest question marks that I keep throwing out there is the other edge room. And I know we talked about Levi O and Broderick and those guys, but the edge across from Aiden Hutchinson, there were reports today that Levi O was taking snaps with the first team on that edge spot, but also you heard Dan talk about James Houston and kind of had that conversation as well today with the Sam linebacker spot. What are your thoughts on James Houston kind of going back into that Sam spot after we saw it for 2 games last year? I wouldn't say it was the best thing ever. We didn't really get to see James Houston kind of go get a sack and do what he did the year before. Are you in on that, or where are you at in your thoughts kind of with James in that position going forward?
I always do trust the coaching staff. They definitely know what's best for their players. They seem to make players switch positions, like Ifutu Melifonwu, and it comes out great, right? We've seen it with other players. Malcolm Rodriguez playing offense. So if the coaches believe that this is something they can utilize and maybe it's a strength, I don't have a problem with it, because I do fully trust our coaches. Concern about that edge position, I am a little concerned. We haven't heard a whole lot besides Aiden Hutchinson's dominant in the interior defensive lines. You know, they're switching up with Broderick and Levi. Where about that other edge position? We haven't heard a whole lot. Monday, we got the pads on, and I think we all should have a microscope at that edge position. That's the one concern, at least from a roster standpoint, who's going to stand out. Marcus Davenport, yet to be seen. You know, is it Joshua Pascal? John Kaminsky's 3rd string reps right now, so that is the biggest question mark, I think, for this roster right now, is edge opposite of Hutch.
Yeah, and Mike, a thing that is definitely without a question, one of the strengths of this team is the running back room. With Sione Vake and Craig Reynolds, they're battling for the 3 and 4 spot right now. Do you think it's more likely that they keep both of them, or do you think it's more likely one guy gets the job and the other guy's on the move? Obviously, it would be Craig that would be on the move, but do you think that Sione kind of kicks him out of town?
I think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Craig Reynolds and Sione Vake will be on the team. They both have different little attributes. When it comes to Craig Reynolds, as you know, he's a really good running back. He's not great at anything, but he's good at pretty much everything. And Dan Campbell talks about consistency. He really loves players who are consistent. Craig Reynolds is the epitome of consistency, right? You know exactly what you have with him. What I like about Vake, though, is he has the special teams, soft hands, theoretic type of player. So I think they can have all 4. All 4 have a role on this team. Vake is going to be a special player. I think he's going to be a theoretic type of guy, not necessarily running every single down, but it's 3rd down and 5, and you need to get a running back to get a 1st down, throw it to Sione Vake. He's got great legs. His hips is great. You see how he ran through the drills today? Amazing. And he's going to be a piece of this team. So all 4 of those running backs, that's who I got making the roster.
Love it. Great stuff, Mike. We appreciate you. You guys can check Mike out at Lions Today. Lions Talk by Chad Sports. Mike, we'll talk to you very soon, my friend. We appreciate you for joining us today.
Real quick, Mike, are you going to be at training camp? Are you heading out?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be at training camp. I got a lot going on. As you can see, I'm not even at my own house. I've been doing a lot of yard work as we're trying to get this house sold. So it's been extremely busy. And so that's what's been going on there. But everybody, I want you to smash the like button for these guys. They're working really, really hard. Support them. If you want to send super chats, these guys are putting in the work. The amount of detail that you have to go in before you do a live stream when you're doing research on the players is massive. Please support these guys. They're awesome.
Appreciate you know what, Mike? That's why. Mike. You know what? We appreciate you. Thank you for all the love and the support, Mike. You get that house sold, Mike. All right, keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
appreciate you, Mike.
MicroMike, check his stuff out because. It's funny. Even even before crunch time, I've always indulged in MicroMike. Great content. MicroMike, one of the only a couple people I'll watch. Definitely watch MicroMike. He's amazing.
One of the good stories that I've had is when I started doing content a couple years ago, and you guys on the morning show, you and Adam started having Mike on. My stepdad had texted me because he's been watching MicroMike for years since he's been going, and he's like, "I've been watching this guy for years, and you guys are talking like this is the best thing." I was like, "Yeah, he's a legend in the game, man. He is a legend in the game." So shout out to Mike.
Let's get to some of Dan Campbell's press conference. There's more clips I have not played yet, so let's play some of the clips and we'll react.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick, just because we played the James Houston clip? Where are you guys at with that? Because I'm interested. We didn't really get to talk about it. I want to hear where you guys, because I'm gonna say concerned, but again, like I'm still on the part of like James Houston being that like just send this guy to the quarterback and let him beat a tackle off the edge every single time instead of trying to have him do all these different things. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he's got the speed to do it, but I don't know.
At the SAM linebacker spot, it's like formationally. Like if you're running a 3-4, your Sam's going to be on the edge. It's just going to be on the so like he'll be off edge. Like TJ Watt, a lot of times is a SAM linebacker. You think of him as the defensive end because a lot of time he's got his hand on the dirt, but formationally he's a linebacker. So this is like they shouldn't be putting James Houston at defensive end because he's not going to set the edge for a run game. Where Marcus Davenport, you put a defensive end because he can do that consistently. So I think them putting him at the linebacker spot, that does do exactly what you're saying, Booner. It strictly lets him get after the quarterback. Now, if they run the ball, obviously he's got to make a play in the run game, which I don't think they're confident in. So it'd be a situational type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, even Jack Campbell played some of that SAM linebacker. They were sending him to the quarterback. I mean, last year. He was
going. Yeah,
you're spot on there, Klotzy. Let's now Jack Campbell's at his natural position, which we'll see. But let's get to some of these other clips. We'll talk more James Houston, but let's play this clip from Dan Campbell today speaking to the media.
Any dividends paid by the Terrell Williams hire yet?
Well, yeah, I have already, but there again, without pads on, I don't want to go too far. I just know fundamentally I already feel a difference in what we're doing with our D-line, where we're striking, our ability to shed is starting to show up, man. I feel like we're just these little things that we emphasize, that he's emphasizing are showing up. So, yeah, I do see it.
Hey, that man, Terrell Williams. Hey, I love it. And you won't see it yet, to his point. You need pads on. But you can't deny that this man is a significant upgrade over who they had. And that's all due respect. John Scott, not the same. All right. Terrell Williams has developed great players, even Jeffrey Simmons for the Tennessee Titans. He's done it. He's developed players that weren't, I don't know how you just blue chip prospects or however you want to describe it. Great college players. He's developed guys and turned them into very good players. The Lions have some good players, but Lions also have young guys. And it's not just the known names, right? It's more than that. Yeah, you're going to get Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, even DJ Reader to a certain extent. Those guys are going to benefit. Everyone's going to benefit. But who really benefits the most to me are guys like Mekhi Wingo, or maybe, if healthy, Levi Onwuzurike. Hell, maybe even Matty Betts. Maybe Matty Betts learns a little thing or two. You know what I mean? Maybe Betts learns a thing or two.
Maybe even Aiden Hutchinson is going to kind of take a step forward too with that. Like all these guys. And I was actually like, about 8 months ago when we were in the middle of the season. I don't know if you guys remember years ago when Dan Campbell starts, when things go wrong, Dan Campbell finds a way to fix it. And I give him a lot of credit for that. When he he's working with some of these position coaches all year long. He's bringing them in because he's on past staffs with them. He knows people that know him. So he has relationships. And for him to say like, hey, this is on me, I have to let some guys go. I respect him for doing that. And he's done that in the past when things weren't going wrong, right? And you've seen things make turns. And I think that was a situation. I said it back in October, that was something they needed to move on was from John Scott Jr. And he might be a great coach, but I just didn't think like, hey, this defensive line when Walsh left the year before, I think it was Todd Walsh that was with Jacksonville, and then he came here. When he left, you could tell there was a little bit of decrease with development and different things with the defensive line. And you started getting guys like, you had Todd Walsh with James Houston and worked with James Houston, and you saw Hutch taking a step his rookie year. And I think Hutch took a step into year 2, but there were guys like Levi Josh Pascal, there was injuries, but some of these guys just weren't taking a step forward. And I think with Terrell Williams, it's like, hey, it's either you take a step forward or you're out the door, because this is the best defensive line coach in the NFL. So there is no excuse now. If you don't work with him, then you're not going to work at all. So I think a lot of these guys, like maybe that's why you see the Levi jump happening, as the injuries are gone and you're with Terrell Williams. Maybe that's why you're hearing the Broderick Martin things, where Broderick just had, a whole 2 or 3 months to say now, he did OTAs and stuff with Terrell, and now he's having training camp with them, and he's going to be able to take a jump forward. So I think it's a bigger piece than people realize. I really do. I thought John Scott, they were going to move on from him early on, like in the middle of the year, and they waited. But I think them moving on and bringing in Terrell Williams, that's going to help some of these guys. Even like I said, the Aiden Hutchinson, to go from an 11.5 sack guy to a 16, 17 sack guy. Like I think there's a jump there from him.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, to your point, Booner, it's a big piece, and it's also a perfect fit, because if you look where he's coming from, Tennessee, what did Tennessee do? They ran the ball and they stopped the other team from running the ball. So he's going to know how to control the clock. And with Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, the edge rusher that he really developed, and it was pretty quick, was Harold Landry. And he was an outside linebacker, kind of going back to what we were talking about, James Houston, but he's pretty much a defensive end. You want to get after the passer. His rookie year, 4 sacks. Second year, 9 sacks. Third year, 12.5 sacks. And then after that, he got injured and he had 10.5 sacks. But he's been very consistent. And Aiden Hutchinson is 10 times the player that Harold Landry is. So I think that's a guy that will definitely help Hutch get that to that defensive player of the year tier, like you think he can get to this year, Booner.
Mm-hmm. No question.
That's a guy that, real quick, I'm interested to see at training camp, because we do see a lot of positional coaches go out there and they're yelling, they're energetic. Like I'm interested because remember that people were calling him a teddy bear at OTAs, and he's like, hey, I'm not a teddy bear. Like wait till training camp comes around. I'm going to make sure these guys work. And like in all the articles that I've seen the last 2 days, the defensive line has been working and they've been getting to the quarterback. They've been making plays and they're starting to look, even with guys out like DJ Reader out and Marcus Davenport out. Like some of these guys are out there making plays versus first team like offense. Like I think that shows. I think it's him.
A great pairing. I mean, you have Aiden Hutchinson, who you can't really undersell how hard this man works. I mean, he is one of the hardest workers on the team. And then you add Terrell Williams, who's one of the greatest teachers in the NFL. I mean, it could be for a deadly pairing, which we'll get into Tim Twentyman's takeaways. He posted on DetroitLions.com, and it mentions Aiden Hutchinson in there. We'll get to that after this. Let's play some more clips from Dan's presser, and we'll discuss it. So here's the next one.
Williams' first day, the catches and the speed that he showed making touchdown grabs, or the ability to vomit and rally and get right back into the play?
Yeah, both, really. And so as long as he keeps making those plays, he can throw up all he wants, he's there again. It's day one, but man, it was good to see him out there running. That was a hell of a throw by Goff. He went and got it, which is, ran it down, which is great. And so he's there again. He's only going to get better every day. He'll just keep putting it in. But it's good to have him out there, and he's got the right mindset.
Waymo, hey, throwing up, yakking. And this was yesterday, but still, Dan Campbell spoke about it, was asked about it. And if he's making plays like he is, and he's got to, go throw up a little bit, puke and rally, get out there, make plays, I'm all for it. J-Mo's in a mission. And Tim Twentyman mentions that in his takeaways too, and he's been the talk of town. And it hasn't just been again. And by the way, the secondary is upgraded from last year. Like, let's not forget this. Better secondary. And he's making plays. I know no pads are on, but still, I mean, if there's anything to measure from a training camp without pads, I think a thing I look at that matters more to me and should matter more to people is not the defensive line, because an offensive line, but skill positions. Like how is Jameson Williams matching up with Terry and Arnold? Like, that stuff to me matters even without pads. Like, it just does, rather than Aiden Hutchinson or who else.
Yeah, just because to your point, there's not as much contact compared to offensive linemen, running backs, linebackers, etc. But I mean, Jameson Williams, not only is the secondary better, but he's going to get more reps against the secondary, especially in training camp and just in practice in general, because no Josh Reynolds there. Jameson Williams, your wide receiver too, and people looked at you like you could be the wide receiver one of this team. Now, obviously, I don't think that's the case anymore. We can all agree with that. But Jameson Williams is going to be a guy that's battle tested for week one. I think we can expect some big things, but and I think with Jameson Williams, it'd be really hard for him not to get at least 600 yards, given the talent and the looks that he will get. If he shows up, I think he's just guaranteed going to be another one of those guys that it could make be one of the number one triple threats with Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams, because people are just going to forget about him. And I don't know how, because he's that fast, but when you have those threats around him, there's going to be plays where he's forgotten about.
Yeah, the thing too, like, I'm starting to feel a little bit better with JMO of just like that he's just getting consistent, because like I mentioned it yesterday on the show, last year through training camp, there was like, he had a big day. And then the next day, hey, JMO had a couple drops. So far we're 2 days in, and I know it's only 2 days in, but it's just constant. Like, hey, he's making plays. It's not just, hey, deep balls. Like, I saw the Lions post a video of him catching the ball in the middle of the field. And it must've been like I think it was a touchdown or just a massive play. And he's like ready to go. And it looks like his final year at Alabama, when he was just in that mindset of that he is the best on the field. And if you have a guy like him saying, hey, I'm the best on the field, and you have a guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, hey, I'm the best on the field, and Sam Laporta and Gibbs, that offense is unstoppable. Even if you just have those four guys, like, yeah, we're waiting to see wide receiver 4, and you have a Leaf and you have other guys, but if you have two elite wide receivers, and I put it like this, like, look at the Eagles. And I heard Mina Kimes actually bring this up earlier today. Look at the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Like, they just have two very, very elite guys and other guys behind to follow. If Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown could turn into those type of players, and obviously different styles and different things like that, but like just two elite players on that offense, and you add Gibbs and those other guys, like, that's a scary offense, and no one's going to be able to stop that. No one at all. And Mina Kimes and Klotzy, you can appreciate this. She was breaking down and talking about how a guy like Jameson Williams, outside of Josh Reynolds was great. We all love Josh Reynolds, but a guy like Jamo on his speed, you put him out on the outside and you say, hey, what did we say yesterday? The Lions' number one thing on offense was running the ball, putting the ball down the middle and just absolutely pounding the ball. That's their number one thing. And Mina Kimes brought up, when you have a team like the Detroit Lions, they start seeing just like a single high coverage. You have to bring guys in the box. You can't not, or they're going to run the ball on you all day long. And guess who that helps out? Jameson Williams, because now you're putting him in positions downfield that no one can guard. And that was what she was bringing up, was she compared it to the Eagles team a couple years ago that went to the Super Bowl when they had Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and they had a run game. And like, you had to account for Jalen Hurts. You got to account for the run game. And at the same time, with Miles Sanders, at the same time, you have some burners on the outside that you like. There's nothing a defense can do at that point.
Yeah, and the play I'm showing now is the play he referenced, where he went up and grabbed the football there, threw it up in the air, making plays out there. You see Terry Arnold, they're just like,
Terry on probably, what the fuck? Like, could you imagine? It's like first training camp, you're going up against arguably the fastest receiver in the NFL, who's absolutely locked in more than he ever has been. I mean, if he can just, and it looks like he has, but in games, if he can just nail down his route running, it unlocks a whole new dimension for this team. Because Booner, to your point, they don't even have to stretch the field vertically for it. Like Jameson Williams, you throw him a slant route, and the safety is focusing on Amon-Ra. 2 steps later, he's now behind the safety with the ball in his hand, and you are not catching him.
That was why I was thinking a couple weeks ago, like, Jamo to go out there and have like you have to account for Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and Gibbs. You have to. Now you just have Jamo sitting there in that, You have I think J-Mo's better than Josh Reynolds talent-wise. You have J-Mo in that position where Josh Reynolds was the forgotten guy on the field. And he was just, he was the fourth, fifth option that the defense didn't really care about. And he had all these first downs. J-Mo is now that guy, but he is 100 times more talented, in my opinion, with his speed. He's going to be put in so many good positions this year. He has a chance to have a massive breakout year.
I mean, because he is. I mean, I think outside of Jameer, the most talented player on this team.
Yeah.
Offensively. Talented, not best, but
people got mad at me last year for saying that. They were like, no way. I'm like, his talent is probably the highest. He probably has the highest ceiling on this football team, him and Gibbs. And that's just a fact.
Besides Jameer.
Him and Gibbs have the highest ceiling on this football team when it comes to talent.
Well, what do you say, Iafrate? You don't look like you're enjoying that comment.
I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
The highest ceiling?
I get, and I love J-Mo. And this is where ceiling, it gets tricky with ceiling.
That's pretty simple.
No, it's because are we valuing work ethic, mindset, skill set?
Skill set is what I think when I think of ceiling. As far as I'm talking intangible ceiling, it's strictly skill set.
Skill set and talent. That's it.
Catching the football, Amon-Ra is one of the best in the NFL to do that.
Absolutely. But there are things where Amon-Ra, if Jameson Williams can definitely, if he honed in 1,000%, he might not be Amon-Ra level, but Jameson Williams can catch the football consistently. There are things down the field and with the ball in his hands that Jameson Williams can do that Amon-Ra can't. That doesn't take away from Amon-Ra's game, but their games are different. You talk about ceiling. Jameson Williams definitely has that. Let me ask you this. Who has the higher ceiling, Kyron Williams or Jameer Gibbs?
No way you have to think about that. That pause.
Jameer Gibbs.
That pause is unbelievable. But Jeff, the ceiling, to Klotz's point.
Sorry.
Jeff, to Klotz's point is ceiling has nothing to do with work ethic or any of that. That is the reason why you say what is his ceiling, because if he does have the work ethic, if he does catch the passes, this guy's talent will take him. If he does all of that, his talent, you saw what he did at Alabama. If you haven't, you know what, Jeff, I would love for you to do some homework, just like the Matthew Judon homework. Go do some homework and watch Jameson Williams at Alabama. All right.
I don't need homework. Amon-Ra. Okay, have we gotten to? What about Penei?
Stumbling a little bit over there.
Penei Sewell's ceiling pretty high.
I'll hear you out for Penei, because I think Penei's a Hall of Fame type of guy. So
is Amon-Ra a Hall of Fame type of guy?
Yeah, but when you talk about it intangibly,
that's a high ceiling.
Penei came out the womb out of college with Hall of Fame. Just if this guy just shows up, he could be a Hall of Famer. Amon-Ra had to work for that shit, and he did.
That has to matter, though.
It matters, but I don't think when you think about intangibles, you don't think about the drive a guy has. You think about I think worth ethic can exceed a ceiling. A player can get better, but also compared to a guy like Mike Vick or Tom Brady, who had the higher ceiling? Michael Vick, but Tom Brady, without a doubt, worked his ass off.
Great
he's the best quarterback of all time.
Klotzy?
Yeah, but that's where
love that example, Klotzy.
The reason why when ceiling gets thrown around is for reasons like that. What does it mean?
Because I think when people say stuff you could say well, Tom Brady's or Michael Vick's better than Tom Brady. No, the fuck he's not. He's a more talented player, but that doesn't make him better.
So you could say,
okay, Jeff, that's why you see those graphics sometimes where it says you have the bars and it's talent, work ethic, and then there's another one it's that's it. There's potential.
So I can sit here, I can stare you in the face and say, well, Bryce Young has a higher ceiling than Joe Burrow.
No,
I don't think he does.
I disagree with that, but I'm using your logic against you.
No, because you're relying strictly on mobility. Bryce Young's arm doesn't sniff Joe Burrow's. Michael Vick's arm was a rock.
That was a terrible example.
Amon-Ra's hands, he ain't sniffing. No one's sniffing that. So we got that.
I agree, but there's a lot of players that have really consistent hands. If Jameson Williams, you can't really can't talk right now. You can't coach speed. You can coach hands. There's things that Amon-Ra cannot be coached to do that Jameson Williams can. You can coach hands. Just God-gifted intangible ability. I think Jameson Williams has more of that than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown makes up for it even more because of his work ethic. I think Amon-Ra is just one of those guys where his mentality is just completely different. That is a very great trait to have, but I don't think that's an intangible thing when you're talking about a skill set.
All right. By the way,
tough example from Jeff, though. I love you, Jeff. That was a tough one. Klotzy had a 10 out of 10 example. You came back with the 6 out of 10.
Well, I don't need your approval. But what I will say is, what I will say is that
tough,
for
man.
the ceiling thing gets tricky. All right, and it just gets a little tricky because throwing ceilings out. I get it. Guys, one of the fastest in the NFL. If you're going off speed, yeah. I mean, I get that. But like everything else, I'm sorry. Amon-Ra's just I don't think he'll ever sniff Amon-Ra.
He's better. We're not saying that anything close that Jameson Williams is better than Amon-Ra. That's not what we're saying.
I don't think that's a conversation.
Because ceiling doesn't matter if they don't live up to it. Is my point.
1,000%.
Agreed. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys in the NFL and the NBA and every single league that you could say, like, back at one point of their career, hey, this guy's got an insane ceiling. It's the reason that there are so many 18 and 19-year-olds that get drafted to the NBA. It's because, hey, their ceiling's insane. How often do those guys work out? Remember Killian Hayes? His ceiling, people, oh man, they drafted him because he could be so good. His ceiling's so high. How was that? How did that work out? Didn't work out very well. There's situations of guys like J-Mo. Like, we're not saying J-Mo's going to be a Hall of Fame or he can be. What we're saying is, at his best in his career, there is a chance with his speed and what he can do that he could be a very, very elite wide receiver and put up numbers. But that has to happen. Obviously, like, our statement isn't, hey, he's going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver and the best wide receiver in the NFL. No, but his ceiling with the skill set and the everything that he has, the speed, the attributes, everything, is he could get there. Does he do it?
Like,
question mark on it now. There's a question mark on it.
Like, Jeff, I would be willing to say George Pickens has a higher ceiling than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but by no means is he better. And George Pickens went 20 picks.
You did really good.
Picks.
He's using the same argument he's been using all show.
And George Pickens went 20
but Boone, don't jump off now, Boone.
Yeah,
no, I just don't like that one. I'm not. I think George Pickens is good. I think I would rather say
boys. Hold on. Do you think Brad Holmes would have traded up? And I'm talking more towards Jeff than Booner here. 20 picks for a guy that was like had the ceiling for a wide receiver with a torn ACL.
I think he has a tremendous ceiling. But that was before Amon-Ra went out and had almost 1,600 yards.
But I don't understand how Amon-Ra doing well affects Jameson Williams. Statistically I could see his ceiling, but I'm saying skill set wise, how does Amon-Ra being really good affect Jameson Williams' ceiling?
Because Amon-Ra proved to me that he has a tremendously higher ceiling than many expected. Like 1,600 yards. If you can
what does that do?
NFL once in your career, you're a pretty good player.
But that's Amon-Ra. Like, yeah, that's Amon-Ra. We're talking about Jameson. Like, just because Amon-Ra exceeded his ceiling, I don't think that lowers Jameson Williams' ceiling.
I don't. No. Statistically. But our argument is it's not about his ceiling. It's about who has the high. Does he have the highest ceiling on this offense? And I said I disagree with that. I think you can go through a couple players before you get to J-Mo. Even though J-Mo's tremendously talented, but he just has to live up to that. You know what I mean? And I think he will. I trust me. I know it just gets tricky. When I heard it, I'm like, ooh, like Amon-Ra, did he just fall off or what are we doing? It's because the 40 and the combine. He didn't have a great combine. He doesn't have the God-given talent that J-Mo has. I get that. I'm not saying that his success lowers J-Mo, but what I'm saying is it made me think to myself, man, Amon-Ra has a higher ceiling. I mean, even you, Boone, you said he can go out and have more yards than he had this year.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, there's more there. You're arguing my point.
I don't think what Amon-Ra does changes a guy's ceiling at all. I look at a guy's skill set.
You're not listening. I'm saying you said there's more there to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Like it gets even better.
For sure.
But Jeff, let me ask you this: when you talk about just strictly intangibles, are you lining Amon-Ra St. Brown out at the X? No. Are you lining a guy like A.J. Brown out at the X? Yes. Why? Because he's bigger, he's taller, and he's faster. That's what intangibles mean. And then but does Amon-Ra match A.J. Brown? Absolutely. Just because, to your point, he's worth work ethic and consistency. I don't think consistency really falls into ceiling. I think the ceiling always stays the same, but your work ethic can raise it, and then consistency keeps it there.
It's like guys like Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. Like they're like, well, his ceiling, I don't give a damn. Like if the dude, J-Mo just has to live up to it. Like these guys like Puka with ceiling.
Tell you what, I don't want Jeff in my my scouting department. This man hates ceilings. We don't want to know what he thinks.
Honestly, I mean, ceilings can sometimes, it just depends on the player. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, would you say coming out of USC had a tremendously high ceiling, Booner? I'll ask you.
No, but I'm sure that
pick,
I'm sure that they drafted him and said, "Hey, this is what we think he can be."
Because of what? Not the 40, not the because of probably his approach to the game.
Yeah.
Things
So everyone has different things where you could say, "Hey, they're ceiling raises because of these different things." Yeah.
That's why
this ceiling conversation is
that's my point.
Is a wild conversation. And I feel like this is like we could just go in circles with this because
I think we have about 3 times.
My point is just watch
no
with, like the word the ceiling thing. I just get ceiling this ceiling.
I've been saying that about Jamo for over a year now. Since he came back last year, I've been saying I think with his speed and what he has, that if he is at his best in his career, like the best that he could potentially be ever, he has the speed of a Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying his ceiling is Tyreek Hill, but that type of speed in the NFL, especially at the wide receiver position, is if he has that, he can go out there and do things that Tyreek Hill can do, like those big plays. And if you have a ceiling like that, look at what Tyreek Hill can do, offensive player of the year type things. Now, I'm not saying Jamo's going to do that because he's on an offense where there are a lot of all-pro players, but he has the potential to have big plays like that type of guy, like a Tyreek Hill because of his speed. And there are a lot of guys in the NFL who have that, who don't do what Tyreek Hill does. But I'm saying like a Jameson Williams with that speed, you will see those types of plays out of him. So
would you agree that with everything you just said, you don't think Jamo will reach his full ceiling with this team?
I don't.
Yeah.
From what you have 3 other all-pro players, in my opinion.
He's not going to get fed to the amount of like Tyreek Hill. Like he's just
never.
Like you have an all-pro wide receiver, all-pro tight end, potentially all-pro running back, all-pro, you know what I mean, offensive line. So yeah,
imagine if you put. Oh, never mind. I'm not even going to say that. Let's just move on. I could start open up another jar.
But having Jamo with that talent as your number 2 wide receiver, it's amazing. I don't want to get distracted from that. It was just weird having the conversation about ceiling and why sometimes it gets thrown around a lot. All right, that's all I was saying. But we'll move on. We got one more clip of Dan Campbell. So let's
the best one yet.
We'll play this. We'll give our thoughts on it. Here it is.
The depth chart before he suffered the ankle injury. Taking some second team reps yesterday. Seems like he's kind of back on the up. What have you seen from him, year to year in terms of doing what you were asking, expecting of him?
Well, I know this. He's in shape, and he knows he's got to be able to handle the SAM linebacker position for us.
We've already heard this one.
Yeah, I was messaging you on the side that we have the Brian Branch one is the other one that we have it.
It's all good. We'll move on. I want to get to Tim Twentyman's takeaways because he wrote about Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, so on and so forth. So we'll go through some of it and check it out. Because we do this with Tim and Tim has one of the, I'll put John up there too. John's our guy. So I'm going to defend John, but with John, some of the best breakdowns of training camp and all of Lions media. So let's check this out right now. I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. So here it is. Observations from day 2 of training camp. And he mentions Jamo right off the bat and just said how Jamo looks comfortable. Had a big touchdown catch on a bomb on Wednesday. Thursday, he made a couple terrific catches for quarterback Jared Goff over the middle, which we discussed. He has had a really good start to camp. But look at this. Opportunity knocks.
Oh, God. No, good.
Tim Twentyman talked about Levi Onwuzurike and said he's entering the 4th and final season of his rookie contract. A back injury plagued him his first 2 seasons. And he writes here, Thursday he took first-team reps opposite of Aiden Hutchinson on the edge. Thursday he took first-team reps. Onwuzurike has had a good spring, and if he can pick up where he left off in the offseason program, that's another versatile weapon Aaron Glenn can use up front alongside his defensive line. So, again, are they going to experiment? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do we look at this and say, oh, Levi is no, we're not going to overreact. But the fact that they're just
checking it out.
Hey, checking it out, Klotz. They're just
hey,
examining what he's got.
As they fucking should. And this is the Lions are doing exactly what they should. This is their 2nd round pick from their first year in the draft. This is what it's all about as far as getting to see what Levi O is. Now, the question is, what is Levi O? Because you haven't been able to see it yet. Now, he's had 2 back injuries, and that's where my pushback is because I think to what Doc was just talking about with DJ Reader, That is a lot of weight. Now, I know DJ Reader is dealing with the quad, but I think a back's a little bit more significant than the quad. And when you talk about, okay, now you got Mekhi Wingo showing up. Now you got Broderick Martin. He's got to consistently show that he's better than those guys. And if he does, great. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I don't hate Levi O as a person or anything like that. Probably a great dude, but I just do not see Levi O working out for this team. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, but that's just my take on it. Yeah. But they're doing the right thing. Throw them out there with the ones. That's where you're supposed to be.
No pads either. Pads.
I'm gonna say this, Klotzy, and you know I love you. I'm gonna say I think I'm gonna go on the opposite side of it here than you. I think you're wrong with this one. I think Levi O, and I know like he's taking the first team snaps, and I know he's at edge, and they're experimenting, and obviously Marcus Davenport's out. The Doc, shout out the Doc, Sports Illustrated. He actually put in his article, and I'll drop it in a little bit in the chat. But he had put in there that Broderick Martin was taking first-team snaps for DJ Reader. So you had essentially today Broderick Martin, Ali McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, and Levi O. I just think the thing with Levi O is a lot of people like today look at him like he needs to be competing with the ones. He needs to be competing with the ones. I think like when you're building a defensive line in depth, and this was the problem I had last year, was your depth was Romeo or Julian Okwara at times, and your depth was not good depth. I think Levi O, people look at him because he was a second-round pick, to where you need to sit there and he needs to be a starting defensive lineman for you, wherever it is. Like, hey, we need to put him on the edge. We need to put him inside. We need to do this. I don't think that's the case anymore with Levi O. I think a lot of people are saying that he's a potential cut guy. I think he makes the team. Like, and I know the chat and me too. I've been all on the Matthew Betts train. I think I would rather probably have a Levi O in there in that rotation than like a Matthew Betts, because Levi's done it.
We can agree.
And the fact too that, yeah, the injury that you brought up, the one comment that Dan Campbell did make when he was having a really good OTAs and minicamp was that injury is completely gone now. Like, yeah, it's a back injury, but for 2 years that injury was holding over his head. And now this is the first offseason Dan Campbell said that there is no back injury. There's no lingering of it. It is completely gone. And a guy like Levi with the potential and the talent he has, finally he can do it without the injury. And put that man, like if he's on the second team, if he's on the third team, that's a good guy, I think, like that to have on your roster and having a rotational piece. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, that's actually a positive to have Levi O there. So that's where I think I'm against you, Klotzy, to where I think he's good for this team, but I just think it's more so like we have to stop looking at him as on the first team. Like, that's just probably not going to happen. If Davenport's healthy, if DJ Reader's healthy, like he's going to be a second, third team rotation. But when he's coming in for guys or a guy goes down, I watched some film on Levi this last week. I can't remember. I think it was Al who put it up from, I don't know exactly where he's at now. I can't remember. I reached out to him, and hopefully we can get him on the show soon. But he was putting out videos of Levi, and like when he's at his best, dude, he'll produce and he'll put up, like he'll dominate. It's just about getting him at his best consistently. And that's all it comes down to me. And if he can do that, and you could have him on the second, third rotation, you have to keep him on this team. Because you don't have the luxury right now just to let go of a guy like Levi unless you go out and get someone else.
That's what, but I guess that's my point. But at the end of the day, Booner, it is like, to your point, it's the last year of his rookie contract. You're getting him for dirt cheap. Might as well let him play it out.
On a contract year, he needs to prove it too.
Yeah. Let him compete. No pads. I want to see pads on. And we'll be there in attendance. That's when it's going to matter for defensive linemen. So you can't really look too much into it. But that Matty Betts train, Boone, I'll get the next one. I just let that one pass. I'm not
not a peep.
Yeah,
they were saying Matty Betts is going to play Sam Linebacker, and that's where they were playing him at. And now James Houston's back fully healthy, and that's ended pretty quick. So
no,
throwing him out there in coverage. You can get out there in coverage.
No. I'll bet the odds if Sam Linebacker's one and playing with Sam and the CFL's the other. I'm betting that one. All right, he's going back to the CFL. All due respect, solid guy, maybe a practice squad, very fine practice squad player. But other than that, no.
Can I just ask you this? When training camp ends, if he does not make the roster and I buy you a pizza, can I get a couple slices? Is that cool? Like, can we split a pizza?
That's right. You're getting some pizza.
All right. Same thing with the second pizza. Same. Like, if you have to, I just want to confirm. Like, we could buy a pie, like a nice Detroit pie or a New York style pie. We could sit down and eat a couple slices, play some college football or something.
Absolutely. You know what? I give you. You can have as much pie as you like. You know what? Right, Klotzy, on the other hand. We'll talk about it. Well,
I have been on the same side as you are. Hey, what are we doing here?
That's fair.
The
Yep.
fuck is this?
I just want to see.
I got
tell you what.
Thoughts on this? See if you're allowed to get pie. I got to see if he's.
I was your sponsor. I was the one telling you to take these bets. I was the biggest one telling you like, hey, no, like you need to double down here. Get that second bet.
You know, that's fair.
So
hey, it's
I
on me.
Fucking nothing.
It's on me.
We could split the pizza. All the boys can.
Real quick, I want to get through this and we'll get to Brian Branch because he has been the talk of town coming out of training camp. Just the wide receiver competition. I mean, they mentioned Levi, mentioned Darius Fountain, Jalen Calhoun,
man of the show,
making some plays. You know, they also said keep an eye on Caden Davis. Tim Twentyman said because he could be someone. He said he had a great spring, and I thought he had a nice practice Thursday with a sliding catch along the sideline. So again, this wide receiver room, you know, is going to be interesting. It says here, Tim writes, Fountain was good again Thursday, highlighted by a deep ball from Goff for a touchdown and a 7-on-7 period, getting behind Terrion Arnold.
I think there's something with Darius Fountain. I do. I think that he might end up taking the spot over
real quick.
DPJ.
I'm going to ask the question. Does this say more about Darius Fountain or say more about Terrion Arnold? Where are you leaning with that?
I think the whole narrative with Fountain, like if what Mike was just saying, ends up being true as far as him being the wide receiver 4, like this man wasn't drafted. Like I think Terrion could damn well be an elite corner in this league. Like still, absolutely. I don't think that changes anything. But I think Fountain just proving like, hey, I can beat these type of guys too. Like I deserve a spot on this roster. So I think it speaks more to him.
Yeah. I do. In all seriousness, Terrion's fine. He's fine. I'm not panicking.
No, I wasn't saying that type of narrative. I'm just saying like Terrion's still Terrion. If he can beat Terrion, like that's saying something about him.
I do think like the Terrion, like listen, guy, like I know Terrion's going to be a very good football player for this team, and especially this year, he's going to be. I think he does end up settling into CB2 when things come around. But the thing with this is this is Terrion's third day at NFL training camp, second day. So I've seen his TikToks. He's been putting TikToks out talking about like rookie chronicles and talking about it. And he had the video out yesterday saying like JMO runs a 4-1 versus me, and he's like this guy's insane. Before you guys start cooking me, like this dude JMO is different, and like he probably played with JMO at Alabama, and like he's adjusting to the NFL as well. I would rather Terrion adjust now than adjust week 4, week 5, and be like, oh wow, these guys are fast. Like no, like I want him playing up against JMO and Amon-Ra every single day, and Fountain, like all these guys. Shout out Darius Fountain though for going out there and doing this. I think too Antoine Green has been a name that people have been talking about. So like this wide receiver room, we might end up seeing something where Antoine Green and Darius Fountain end up taking that 4th spot, 5th spot.
Well, the last part of this, they go through the Jake Bates storyline. Tim Twentyman does. Also writes, Nate Sudfeld took second team reps at quarterback on Thursday after Hendon Hooker took them Wednesday. So they're battling. Tim says, I thought Sudfeld and Hooker were sharp Thursday, both making some tight window throws along the sidelines. So, hey, the
battle for the board, the battle for the clipboard. Who's going to hold
this
it?
This is interesting.
who's holding the clipboard? Yeah, that's basically what that is.
I don't know. I did hear. I don't want to. I watched an interview today at a former place of a guy. A legend was talking about it. Dan Miller. I'll say that. You guys probably know where the interview was, but I was watching a Dan Miller interview. Dan Miller talked about the backup quarterback situation. Made a good point. Hendon Hooker is going to you need someone back there who can run Ben Johnson's offense, essentially, is what Dan Miller said. And if they feel like Nate Sudfeld can run the offense better than Hendon Hooker, because Hendon hasn't really done it, and Nate has for 2 years, they're gonna that's where it's like Hendon Hooker does, just because he was drafted where he was, Jeff. I know round 2, your whole narrative doesn't mean it's like, hey, you're QB2, here you go. You have all the skills to do it. No, you actually need someone who can run Ben Johnson's offense. If he's ready to do it or not, he needs to be ready to do it. And if he's not ready, no.
You know what you do? You go find Josh Dobbs now, because that
I agree.
Off a week of game plan and goes out there and do it. My thing is Booner, I 100% completely understand and agree with what you're saying. But Nate Sudfeld, I feel like a guy who doesn't know Ben Johnson's scheme and is just going out there playing ball, you have a better chance of winning with that than Nate Sudfeld. And I just think that's facts. I'm sorry to Nate Sudfeld, not towards you, Booner, because I think you'd honestly agree. But it's just, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, to what we're talking about with the kicker, I think applies just the same with backup quarterback. Like if you're constantly having this, who's going to be like the Colts went out and got Joe Flacco. End of discussion. Discussion.
Yeah.
And that's a Shane Steichen offense. That's a guy where Anthony Richardson and now you're backing up to Joe Flacco. How the fuck is that going to work? But you just know that Joe Flacco can go out there and ball. And I think that's what the Detroit Lions should do. Now, I understand they got Hendon, so they're not in a position where they can really go and do that. But if you're not confident in Hendon Hooker doing that this year, then go out and get somebody that you're confident in going out and making a play and winning you games.
Jeff?
This is my thing on it. If he was a rookie, I would be like, you know what? Maybe there's
Hendon?
some truth to that. Yeah.
I mean, bro, he is a rookie.
He technically is a rookie, Jeff. Like, let's be real.
Playing, yes. Mentally,
so, Jeff, what you're saying this is if
playbook for over a year. Like,
but you don't know like the timing with the routes. Like
is Ben Johnson's offense very complicated? I understand that. It's not. I mean, it's like in Latin. I mean, it's not like but you should be able to learn an offense in a year and a half. He should be fine.
You should be able to learn it mentally, but on air and when you're going up against matchups is different because now you got to get chemistry with the wide receivers. Wide receiver that Nate Sudfeld already has chemistry with because he's been running out
with them this offseason.
Exactly, but Nate Sudfeld's been doing it for 2 or 3 off seasons. You know what I mean? And I think that's just what it comes down to. I'm trying to give your boy Hendon some slack here and be like, hey, even if they go out and like to what I was saying and go get another backup, you still keep Hendon on the roster because I just want to throw this in there. Like I'm with Klotz to where I'm not a Nate Sudfeld guy at all. But if you don't feel Hendon's ready, this is a thing to where, he might not be a rookie, he might be. This is still his first training camp, and this is still his first time learning the playbook. And if you don't, if he's out there and, he's making some plays, but if he's not fully ready to go as your backup, you can't have, as a contending team, you cannot have a backup quarterback that if Jared Goff, say, ends up not playing week 2 and week 3, you just drop 2 games because you don't have that. Like, remember with Teddy Bridgewater with the Saints a couple of years back with Drew Brees. Drew Brees goes down, Teddy Bridgewater comes in, goes 5-0, and keeps the Saints in the conversation. Like, that's what you need. Cowboys. Yeah, like there are a lot of these conversations, and if Hendon's just not ready to run the offense at an elite level that you need, like it has to be at a high level.
You're running it at an elite level.
Yeah,
no, he's not either. But that's where I'm with Klotz, where if Hendon can't do it, guess what you need to do? You need to go out and find someone who can, because that's what they did last year. They did that last year with Teddy Bridgewater, a veteran who can learn the offense within an offseason, who can learn it quick, who's able to come in, knows how to, has been in the NFL for a while, and you go make that move. It was like last year with I know Aaron Rodgers went down early, but the Jets, instead of going to getting a Joe Flacco or something, they're like, let's just stick with guys who just aren't ready and aren't good enough, like Zach Wilson and these guys. And then just hey, you're not going to win games like that. Give yourself a chance. The Lions need to do the same thing. If Hendon Hooker, and you know what, we might be prematurely talking here because it's day 2 of training camp. So I think I have a lot of faith that he turns out to be.
Tim wrote they look good today. It's now pads will come on, but I'm not. If it's Dobbs, to your point, Lucas, now I'm like, okay, he might
you know what they need to do for Booner? They need to hit up Seattle, get that boy Drew Lock. Or no, he's with the Giants.
He's with the Giants. Go get Drew Lock.
Play some Jeezy for Boone.
That'd
be the sound behind the path. That'd be the sound behind.
Why I work for NASA?
Yeah, literally, did you see the video going viral? Daniel Jones absolutely airmailing it over Devin Singletary. Daniel Jones is doing that. Hendon Hooker in his first training camp is going to be fucking up too.
By the way, we do have we're doing segments throughout some weeks. I'll be bringing topics around the NFL. I've got one today for the boys that are going to be. It's interesting, Klotzy. This one's for you. This is interesting.
Let's get to that after we get to this Brian Branch clip. Here's Dan Campbell speaking to the media about Brian Branch. Let's hear what he had to say.
Branch is a guy who's got a lot of flexibility and versatility in what he can do. Certainly we know he can play the nickel position, but just safety, look, you can make a lot of plays at the nickel and produce in this defense, but safety is, you're talking about, you got a lot of freedom within the structure, within the system to really, you talk about making plays, you can make some plays there. So we just feel like, man, Branch, it could suit him well and give him a chance to see where he can go with it, But we talked about it before. That's what this is. We have options now, and we got some guys that we think pretty highly of in the secondary room, and it's all about finding the best combination of, who's certainly outside, nickel, safety, and so we're just going to keep moving them and mixing them in. And we had E-Man out there at nickel yesterday. We know Meek will be back out there today working some nickel. If he's in competition at safety, we're going to find our 4 or 5 best DBs that are going to go on the field.
Maybe just to follow up to that, how nice is that entering camp knowing that you have that kind of flexibility? You can rearrange guys and see what they do and try to find that best combination. Maybe it wasn't always the case.
Well, that's what every team would hope for. You want that at every position. The ability to have guys that do multiple jobs, that do have versatility. The more you have, and really the more that you have guys that are a little bit different, they have different skill sets, actually I think it's better. It's offensively, we talk about all the time. Now, would we take 2 St. Browns? Absolutely. Who would not? But, to have guys that have a little bit different skill set, you got speed, you got possession, you got run after catch, you got, you got the muscle, the one-on-one, big boy, down in the paint.
Big boy.
So, it's no different on defense. And that's what we have right now. And it makes our life a lot easier as a coaching staff.
Hey, Brian Branch,
Woo!
playing some safety. And again, him, you look at a player like Brian Branch, he has playmaker written all over him. So a guy like that to play safety rather than nickel, there's more opportunities for him to make plays, especially in the passing game. So, I completely understand that. The E-Man playing nickel, we read that. We talked about that yesterday.
I like that.
It's interesting.
In the red zone, man, he would be lethal in the red zone. But as far as Brian Branch playing safety, boys, and I'm being dead serious when I say this, if he just makes the full-time full-time transition to safety, get that gold jacket ready, because the Detroit Lions are going to be one of those teams that win a Super Bowl. I full-heartedly believe this team can win a Super Bowl. And if you look at that, you look at Super Bowl rosters, there's usually 3 or 4 guys on that team that get a gold jacket. And I think Brian Branch is going to be one of them. Moving him to safety, especially because they're going to be running man, but a lot of the times in safety, you're running zone. So he can cover 2 receivers at once and just make plays. And the thing is with Brian Branch, he's incredibly intelligent, and he will be able to disguise coverages better than anybody else in the secondary. So he can make it look like cover 1, but in reality, he's going to get back there and it's cover 2. And that's going to be, especially young quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, even Jordan Love, who's very good but very young. He's going to be taking advantage of that, especially, yes, he's young, but he doesn't play like a rookie. Last year, he looked like he was a guy that's been around the league for 4 or 5 years. He's going to be impacting the run, impacting the pass, and safety, like Dan Campbell said, like Jeff just says, it gives him more freedom to do that. Let this man cook. Obviously, he's going to be dropped down in a nickel, but at safety is where this man will be best. I think he's going to be a Tyrann Mathieu type of player for this team.
Ooh, I love it, Klotzy.
I've been saying that they ran these. Tyrann Mathieu fell in the draft. Tyrann Mathieu and Brian Branch, we talk about intangibles. If you go and look at their 40 times, they are just combine testing in general. They are so fucking identical. It's scary. Playing in the SEC, they've been playing All-American since freshmen. The guys, if you just look at how they played, they're twins of each other.
I will say this too, like the Brian Branch thing, Klotzy, I'm with you. As like Dan's talking about it a little bit more, a lot of people are like, well, you can't take Iffy off the field. You can't do it. Like I think Kirby the last 2 years has earned a spot to be on the field and to be out there. But like the Iffy battle with Brian Branch, essentially, I guess you could say Kirby's probably in the battle as well. But I just like, if Brian Branch is that good, you're upgrading at safety from Iffy Melifonwu. As good as Iffy was, that is a massive upgrade. Lions fans shouldn't look at it like, why is Iffy off the field? No, you should look at it as Brian Branch is about to be on the field way more. I went back and looked at his snap counts from 2023. He played in 57 snaps in the wild card game, 54 in the divisional game, and he only played in 27 snaps in the NFC Championship game. Moving him from nickel to safety keeps Brian Branch on the field almost at all times. Like you have Brian Branch in a position to where teams consistently have to worry about him. Last year, the 49ers in that 27 snap game, they were able to find ways to get Brian Branch out of the game and take him out completely to work because he's that good. So like you look at it now, 27 snaps in the NFC Championship game, move that to 60, move that to 70. Last year, his highest games in snaps, 80, 73, and 71. That is what you need from Brian Branch. Like you need him out there consistently because he's a playmaker and he is just he brings energy too. Like he flies around. He doesn't miss tackles, and you can't have one of your best defensive players off the field. It's the same thing with Hutch. To me, to the same thing to Brian Branch. And if you do think about it, guys, like one of the biggest points too is like they're trying to find a way. You heard Dan there, like trying to find a good rotation of players in a way to get these guys moving around. If you move Brian Branch to safety, I think one of the things we can all agree on was once you move down from CJ Gardner-Johnson and Tracy Walker, your safety room's a little thinner there. Like that's just a fact. Like whether you think they were good or not, it makes your room a little thinner. If you move Brian Branch to safety, now if, say, a guy goes down for a game or two, all right, you have Iffy, you have Kirby, you have Branch, you have 3 really good safeties. And then as well as think about Klotz, your nickel spot. Like Emmanuel Mosley can play nickel, and just Rakestraw is going to be able to play nickel. Amik Robertson is a guy that's getting those snaps. Like day one, Amik Robertson got all the snaps. Today, Amik Robertson got the snaps again. So, like, it puts you in a position to where you have more guys at nickel that you can rotate through if you need to, and you've got more guys now at safety. Like it just makes a little bit more sense. And again, like to me, the number one goal of this is keeping Brian Branch on the field, and I think putting him in the best position possible to make plays. That's exactly what you need to do.
Hey Booner, I'm proud of you. I was gonna say the 49ers thing, but that is 100% true. So that's ball knower approved knowledge right there, Booner. Booner spitting facts.
Thank you very much.
I'm excited for this Brian Branch era. He's very, very special. He's a player that just makes plays, and that's a guy that, again, Dan said it, your best DBs on the field. It's going to be a bloodbath for the competition. They have a lot of good DBs, and it's something that we haven't not been able to say, especially last couple of years. So it'll be interesting. May the best man win. Kirby, Joseph, Iffy, they'll all be on the field, but at least starting and being out there. We'll see.
You don't take that man, Brian Branch. I think Brian Branch will be the. I know it collides with the Booner path take, but I'll stand by. I think Brian Branch will be the best defensive player for this team this year. I just think the way that he can impact the run and the pass. Wow. I think, again, that doesn't take away from Hutch. It's more speaking to how good I think Brian Branch can be.
It's fair. Disagree, but it's fair. He'll definitely be up there, though. I don't really want to have too much pushback for you, Brian Branch. I think I said we all kind of agree he's an all-pro. Watch out for potential all-pro. That's where he's going, Pro Bowler. That's the level he's going to be playing at. But let's go around the NFL. There's some things that's been transpiring. But before we do that, I want to welcome in Michael Gentry. Let's just see if everything's working out for him. He's been battling some adversity with some Wi-Fi, some mic issues. Mike, let's test the waters. How we doing?
I don't know. Hopefully I'm doing good, but
you look
you
very,
look clear,
very
brother.
Different, dude. You look so clear.
I would hope so. I went through the ringer to get here. So
I think if we just adjust, we could probably adjust the speed of it, and you'll be good. It just looks a little, but yeah, you're fine. Like, bro, don't even tweak about it. You sound good, look good. It's just some. Wow. Just gotta tweak some things up, and you'll be perfectly good.
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but I'm pushing through. I was kind of watching the last, little gist of the show, so it was nice tapping in. But how we doing, boys?
I can't get over your camera right now, dude.
He looks beautiful. I mean, crazy. Guy's unreal. I mean, look at him.
I mean, did you move your jersey behind you closer? It looked like the camera brought the jersey in more.
No.
Am I the only one that's like the jersey's like, hello?
No, I like it. I like it.
I love it. This looks
good. You look good.
This looks
Mike.
beautiful.
Good
I could see your beard so clearly now too. You look beautiful.
No, thanks, Boone.
Does
it look good?
Yeah, you look fine.
Oh yeah.
Boo, we'll get around the NFL. Some things have been happening. Boo, you talked about something about the NFL. You want to lead it off to here and kind of introduce it?
Yeah, so I just brought a few topics here. I'll see what the boys think. Obviously the first one, and Jeff, there are actually, you know what, I can do this. Let me cook a little bit here while you were gone. I learned how to use this feature here. So when we do around the NFL, why don't we let me control this stuff for a little bit, huh?
All right. Huh? Do you want some music, Boone? You want some crunch time music behind it?
We get some music on. Hey, it's up to you. Right, it's up to you.
I'll cue up some crunch time music.
All right, boys. First thing, NFL. We're sitting here right now. In exactly 7 days, boys, football's back. Texans, Bears. question. I guess we want to do a question. What's the reaction here? The NFL's back in 7 days, boys. Huh?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
7 days, Hall of Fame game. Finally, it's coming back. The Bears, sorry, guys. I know you're going to get to see some of the Bears the preseason, but, for Lions fans. But Texans, it'll be nice. I like it. 7 days. I can't wait. Training camp. It's going to be a nice little couple weeks here. We're getting right into the NFL season.
Do you think Caleb Williams plays in this game?
You better.
I don't think this game.
Bro,
yeah, I don't think so.
Well, maybe not the first game. He better play in the preseason though. Got to give that boy a look.
Maybe the last one and for like a quarter, if that. But I don't. Really
I'd rather play him in the first one, and so if that way he tweaks an ankle, you don't got to worry about it later. Like just get that boy 2 drives and get him out of there for the rest of the preseason. But he's got to get a look.
Yeah, he should play a little bit. You want that man to at least see the NFL, like get out there in an NFL game. I mean, to some extent, not a regular season yet, but and I like how they put DJ Moore and CJ Stroud on here. Like they're actually going to be out there. I mean,
I am excited to see. Do you think they'll put Will Anderson out there with Danielle Hunter?
I wouldn't. I would honestly, and I'm a little different with this stuff. Like proven guys, they should not sniff the field.
You know what? I say what you should do here in this game, Texans versus Bears, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, put all the starters out there and let's go have a game. Start the NFL season out.
Roma Dunze's out there playing full offensive snaps. Keenan Allen.
DJ Moore.
Keenan Allen's out there. They should, something
I'll
like
stick
that.
with that. Open the season up.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the NFL. I don't give a damn if it's preseason. We'll be tuning into whatever's on. I mean, that's football, boys. I don't care who's out there. And it's an opportunity for guys to potentially get a job, and they won't have this opportunity come the regular season. So it's awesome.
Realistically, it is going to be interesting. I think it'd be kind of, for me at least, fun to watch like the depth parts of the Bears, like especially in the secondary and just the running back room, because I know we don't have confidence in DeAndre Swift, but they have some hidden gems that we don't know about. You can get a look at that too.
Is there like any team outside of the Lions? Because the Lions you want to see in preseason for many reasons, probably Hendon Hooker being the biggest one. But like, is there any other team you actually want to watch in preseason to see like some of your young players, some rookies?
I want to watch the Patriots. I want to watch the Panthers. Like honestly, I like watching the ass teams in preseason because they're out there more. Like you get to more look at their ones. Like I want to see how Drake May looks throwing to Javon Baker, throwing to those type of guys. I want to see if the Cardinals throw Marvin Harrison out there, like things like that.
I think you. I mean, at least come. Depends. Steelers are a good one. I mean, I'm with you, Klotz, still a little bit. I like watching some of the ass teams. I like just seeing, like, the Panthers are going to be – I mean, besides Adam Thielen, I know you're a simp for Adam Thielen, but, Deontay Johnson, you see them Panthers talking about feeding him.
Xavier Legette.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, football is back. Like, all these rookies, you're going to see them. Like, and got a lot of the guys that, like, on the lower-tier teams, they're just fighting, man. Like, in the middle of the fourth quarter – third stringers are in there, but they're fighting. They're giving up their all. That's where guys,
especially
like
young quarterbacks, like Broncos. I want to see Bo Nix. Like I want to see like the rookies. That's who I like watching.
Because like I want to see like Justin Fields with the Steelers. Like if they
it'll be on at some point. It'll be on at some point.
You get Justin Fields throwing to some Roman Wilson. That'd be fun to watch.
Roman Wilson. I hope that man goes off in the preseason.
I think Roman Wilson, he's exactly, you get him on the inside with George Pickens on the outside.
Yeah.
Can I interest you in JJ McCarthy?
No. Oh my style.
No, not at all.
JJ McCarthy.
See, it's not Michigan bias here whatsoever. It's player.
Said it.
Next thing here, real quick, boys. I've got a couple more things. So this thing, what's going on here with the Dallas Cowboys? The next topic for the NFL really is just there's like the holdouts going on. Trent Williams out of practice. Brandon Ayuk out of practice. CeeDee Lamb out of practice. Jamar Chase hasn't been at practice for 2 days. Ari Meirov put out today, he said the Cowboys CEO Stephen Jones says Michael Parsons and CeeDee Lamb both want to become the highest paid non-quarterback in football, which would be over $35 million per person. Jones says they will all have that going on while also juggling the Dak Prescott situation, which is not going to be easy.
That is insane.
$35 million. This is not a joke. CeeDee Lamb wants to be paid higher than Justin Jefferson.
I mean, and he has all the leverage to do so. He's
Right.
on pace to be the best wide receiver in Cowboys history. And the Cowboys need a wide receiver. They don't have a running game. So, I mean, I saw Nick Wright say this earlier on Fox Sports this week, but this is the decline of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And like, it's not going to be like, it's not going to be like, oh, here comes another Dak. Like, no, like Cowboys are out of options. Like Jerry Jones, it's going to be the end of his days. Like they're going to get new ownership in there. Like this is the beginning of the end for the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, could you imagine their offense without CeeDee Lamb and then their defense without Micah Parsons? The team would be awful. Like that's
it's tricky. Like they're valuable, but this is why I also love the NFL because it's about balance. Like, okay, you have Dak who needs to get paid, Micah who needs to get paid, CeeDee Lamb who needs to get paid. You're gonna have to make a decision.
They won't even go out there and sign Hunter Renfrow. Like they refuse. They won't give another wide receiver a chance. They're sticking with who they have, and it's just like, what's going on? There's no awareness going on with this organization.
Yeah, and that's like $35 million for CD is crazy, first of all. But the fact that you have like three guys that it's like, hey, you're gonna have to pay 35 plus a quarterback, probably 60 million. Like that's just there's no way you can do that. I think it's almost impossible. Like that's an insane amount of money. And like CD's like working out at a different facility. He doesn't care. Like he was like, I want my money. And if I don't get my money, I just won't play. And he's getting fined I just think it's a bad situation. Dak or Klotz, to your point, if I throw this up, will this hold on.
All right, we're letting him cook, and I don't know. Hold on.
Yeah, hey, let me cook over here, Jeff. Like to your point, Klotz, this video of Jerry Jones today, he went out there and they asked him if he's still all in. This man needs to be like, they need to like have a board meeting and say, dude, you're not running this team anymore. Like we love you. You're done. Like he's
100 years old. I mean, yeah.
Listen to this guy talk. It's like, I'm not going to make comparisons here, but just listen.
Here.
Oh, it's Biden-esque.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Sometimes being all in means you narrow. You remove the months out here that are in the future. And you narrow it down to where all we're talking about is right now and the next playoff season. And that's it for everybody. We're all in. We're
what
all
did
in.
He just say?
It's all right there.
We're all in.
Let's okay. We all got some things out here in the future, another 2 or 3 years on contracts, all that stuff. Let's all get in here. Zero right now in this. Dak's got his year. Contract, let's focus right here. We all got a lot on the line for that playoff game. A lot of it. So you got to understand a weird way of looking at it a little bit with that time here.
Well, they're all in for that playoff game, apparently. Jeez. My God, man. I mean, there's no Jerry World.
I swear, man, if you're rich, you can say whatever you want, and people are just gonna be like, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I watched that 4 times. I didn't didn't understand.
But if you have as much money as he does, you can say whatever you want, and he just thinks he sounds so smart. Like that made absolutely
0 sense. Dude.
0 sense. I mean, that was it hurt me to play. I can't imagine being a Cowboys fan and having that man at the head of everything, and he's like, "We're all in."
That's the head.
We got to win that playoff game. What play? Jerry, it's July. We're not. Let's just start with re-signing players here. I mean, what are we doing? What? I don't know.
I just get the deals done, or just like figure. Like if you weren't gonna, my thing, it's like, dude, if you weren't gonna sign these guys, and you're just like, then go in free agency and spend the money somewhere else. Like go get other players that are gonna help your team win, or like sign CD or Micah or sign Dak and go get a different receiver. He's like, dude, he's not doing either one. If I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. You remember when he was like, I'm all in, and then free agency came around and they were the last team to sign any player, and everyone's like, what's happening right now? Like, is he awake? Someone go wake Jerry Jones up. Man's napping through free agency.
And like Artur just says this, but it's like he's been doing this. Like if you're outside your 30s, he's been doing this. Like no, like he's been signing guys. Like when the Cowboys were winning, he was bringing in Richard Dent and guys
I
like
think
that.
He means how he's talking, like how he's speaking, like his.
Well, that's fine. But I don't even think that. I mean, he literally he's old. Like it's not like he can help it, but he sounds like he's losing a step or two upstairs.
Man, it's just the fact that he just keeps saying he's all in, and he just literally has not. Like, it would be fine if you're all in and you're signing guys to extensions. Okay, you're all in. If you're all in, yeah. Apparently, and if you're
he's all in and letting his best players walk,
he's not doing either side of things. Like it's either sign guys or go get free agents, and he did neither one. He literally just stood pat and was like, "Let's just sit, boys. Let's not do any work this summer.
Yeah.
I'm all in."
That's something, Klotz. What do I say? Word salad. It's a lot of word salad. You're just talking, no substance. There's nothing that man said that had substance.
What do you think CD's thinking when he's out there, like he's hitting the ladder drills, running routes, and then he picks up his phone to check it real quick, and then he sees that Jerry Jones is speaking, and that's what you get. And that's who you got to negotiate your contract with. I mean, do you want to be part of like, do you think there's like players that are kind of like they're holding out, and unless you're paying me the minimum, like we're out of here, no questions asked?
Yeah, I mean players aren't stupid.
If CD doesn't get the bag, he's definitely going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, but he, because he'll sign a team will get. I don't know, and this is why I appreciate Amon-Ra St. Brown and players like that, because Amon-Ra, as great as he is, he had every right to go to that negotiation table and be like, I want to get paid to the level of Justin Jefferson, you know, and he just didn't. And that
I agree. That is the thing with CD. It's like CD could go in there and say, Amon-Ra, where we both were all pro players, like similar stats, like let's go in. I'd be like, I'll take 30 and let's go get, like, we can sign other players. I could take 30 instead of 35 and I'll be able to go out and we'll be able to re-sign Micah. We can go re-sign Dak and we can keep the guys together. Obviously, all of those players want the most out of Jerry Jones. Like Micah wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback as well. CD wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback. They both, like, you have two guys on your team like that. To me, I like, whether you're worth it or not, like that's a little not selfish, but like, yeah, like if you want to get your money, I'm not hurting you for it. But hey, like if you have multiple guys on your team who want that, you're not going to be able to build like the best team around. Like you're going to consistently keep losing in the playoffs. Like it's impossible.
I'm all for players getting money. I think the NFL does not look out all the time for players when they sign all these TV deals, and then people are shaming players for getting money. Like I agree, and I'm with you, Boone. Players should get their money. I don't want to hear it though when you get the most amount of money and you're not winning. I don't want to hear it because there's a cap for a reason. Now, from a player's perspective, they can also look at the team and be like, well, your job's to put the team together. My job is to get paid. You know, I'm going to get paid. And your job's to construct this roster. But if like the Cowboys go downhill and CD's making $36 million a year and he's like, man, we just can't win. It's like, well, dude, yeah. I mean, you're taking up $46 million to the cap. I mean, yeah, no shit. And if Dak gets paid, that's 60. That's almost 100 just in two players on offense. I mean, it's hey, but they signed Zeke though.
Yeah, they drafted Deuce Vaughn last year. Dad's a coach. Works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Deuce.
Should have drafted a wide receiver, maybe. I don't know.
It's a weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
What
thing
did they just have? They have Brandon Cooks and CD, and then Jake Ferguson. Obviously.
Yeah, Michael Gallup gone. Yeah, I mean, it was bottom of the barrel. That Jake Ferguson was their second leading receiver. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's a dog. Don't sleep on Ferg.
Yeah, Jake Ferguson is a dog.
Yeah, Jay Ferg.
Kevontae Turpin. Hey, I like him.
Turpin, Burner is fast.
Jalen Tolbert.
Oh no, it's Tolbert. Is Tolbert? No, that's Turpin.
They have a couple like they have a couple like average guys that are just average players. Yeah, they didn't go out. They didn't make they made no moves this offseason. They made like, or at least it doesn't feel like they did. I don't know. Maybe on the defensive side of the ball.
That's what I was saying, man. Like they won't even get like a Hunter Renfrow. It would probably cost $1 million for 1 year. That could help out Dak and just be a friendly little target that he could check down to. Like they won't even do that.
Defense, they added Eric Kendricks. It seems like that might be the only thing that they did.
That's in all due respect to Eric Kendricks, that's like the corpse of Eric Kendricks. I mean, he played decent last year, but
because Leighton Vander Esch retired, they had to.
Yeah, I mean,
you know who they still have in their RB room, right? Your guy, Rico Dowdle.
Oh yeah, big Rico. Hey, fantasy wise, it's the year of Rico.
Oh my!
Year of
That's
Rico.
Lucas's guy.
Yeah, he's the
Rico
next Tony
Dowdle.
Pollard there. Hey, Rico Dowdle, he's explosive. That man can. Here we go.
I don't want to hear Rico.
You turn out the Rico
Rico
Dowdle tape, you're like, ooh, all right, he's got some.
Here we go. That's another Clayton Tune to S type guy.
No, this is like more. This is on my. The Clayton Tune was a miss, but we're not gonna act like I've been preaching about guys like Jalen Warren for years. And now,
no, hey, you've had really good ones, but Rico Dowdle, is it Dowdle?
Okay. All right. Remember this. And in fantasy this year, when you're throwing that man in your flex spot, you'll be thanking me later.
I'm not throwing Rico Dowdle in my flex.
Honestly, I can see.
I will be.
I was laughing last year when he was trolling, but like this year, looking at the running back room, he might be RB1. Like you never know with Deuce Vaughn and Zeke. Like who knows? So like I'm not even gonna troll Lucas anymore because he might be right again.
Hey, Rico Dowdle. Number's been called.
If he's your Jalen Warren of this year, then I respect that. Because you get called Jalen Warren, and Jalen Warren's good. Him and Najee Harris, honestly, though, that's like they have a good like little one too. Hey, you don't know what you're
better backfields.
You don't know what you're going to get out of those two guys, and I don't ever.
You know what you're going to get out of Jalen Warren. You don't know what you're going to get out of. But you drafted him in the first round. You got to use him.
I'm thinking yards wise. When I play player prop bets, I just don't touch the Steelers running back room because every night one of the two are going off, and you never know who it is. I could bet on Najee Harris this week, and then he does. Jalen Warren goes off, and then I'm like, all right, Jalen Warren next week, and then Najee goes off, and I'm like, all right, I can't figure this thing out.
Bet on Jalen Warren receptions, Boone. That's what you do.
I've hit that a couple times.
Game.
Good one.
3 a game.
A good one.
Yeah, and the Steelers declined Najee Harris's 5th-year option. You guys didn't know that.
Oh, real quick before we do Mailbag,
Gibbs, though. We know who's the better Bama back.
Can I play this? Can I play? I want to play something here for you boys because Klotz did mention this name. He mentioned this name earlier. Oh, did we lose Gentry? Hold on. Let me get this thing together here. I can't forget this because Klotz. Oh, hold on.
Klotz,
this one's for you.
He's trying. I mean,
this one's for you, Klotz.
Doing a good job.
You guys see this today?
What? Justin Fields?
Justin Fields was a QB1 today, and he is out there just slinging it.
Hey, full screen it. Full screen it. Hit the full screen at the.
Whoa! All right,
there we go.
Well, you don't have to. You can do that. Look at that. All right. Yeah, we've seen this.
Yeah.
And then the comment, the Twitter post said, being able to spin the ball, spin a deep ball versus no pass rush was never Justin Fields' problem. It was almost everything.
It was almost everything. Hey, that's facts, though. I mean, I am interested to see just because they're going to be on he's in a better situation, I think, for him in Pittsburgh. I think he's definitely going to sit. I think Russ is definitely going to be the guy there. There's no question of that. But it is going to be interesting, like I said, to see him in the preseason, see if he's developed and looks any different.
Yeah, Justin Fields. I mean, again, going back to my point earlier, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. I mean, they Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Like, maybe if they need a game manager, very fine game manager, maybe they can have Russell. But that's it. What are they going to get 9 wins from it and lose in the first round?
I think Justin they win 10 or 11 games with Russell Wilson. I do believe that.
Justin Fields. High ceiling, Jeff. High ceiling, Justin Fields. And Russell Wilson, 11 games with Russell Wilson they're winning the division at that point, then I think.
Listen, this is what's going to happen. You guys ready?
Kyle Pitts-esque? That's Kyle Pitts, 8 TDs-esque. I don't know.
You said 9 to 10, I think.
No. He said 8 to 9. He said
9. I did not do double digit. That's
you were glazing that, man.
He was for sure.
Glazed.
I do. You guys know. You guys do know. I'm a Steelers. I'm all in for the Steelers to go.
Yeah, we know Bills, Steelers. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Steelers will be in the playoffs with Russ. Russ will take them to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's different than 11 wins, though.
They're going to have to win 10 to go to the playoffs.
In the AFC North, though, I don't know.
In the AFC in general,
a lot of times it's 9 wins. 9 wins, you're in. It's tiebreakers.
You're right, but
Dolphins,
the AFC
Bill
this year is tough, dude.
11-6 with Russ. Let Russ cook.
The AFC's tough. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be tougher to win games, tougher to come by wins. So I think, like, outside of the Chiefs, like most of the teams, I don't see a team in the AFC getting more than 12 wins.
Last year, the AFC, the last team in wild card was this Pittsburgh Steelers. They won 10. They were 10-7. I think you have to do it again. That's in my mind. I think you have to do it again.
Maybe
I think
10.
Russ did not have
straight.
Russ didn't have a bad year last year. If he just does what he did last year with Mike Tomlin in the defense, you're winning 10 and 11 games. Like I'm in on that.
Kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions. I love the name.
Shout out.
Get your questions ready. He says, Mailbag, if Chicago traded out of the number 1 pick instead of trading Fields with the best weapons of his career, would they be better than taking Caleb?
No. Because Caleb can throw the ball. You need your quarterback to throw the ball, and Justin Fields proved numerous times, regardless of who his wide receivers were, that he struggled to.
Yeah.
And I think even like in the short check down game, he struggled. Caleb can do that day one.
I do agree. Until I see a Chicago Bears quarterback being able to throw the ball, like there's been quarterbacks in that go to Chicago who we've seen, like Justin Fields was throwing the ball at Ohio State. He was able to. Klotz, you're in Ohio State. You know he was. We've seen so many quarterbacks go to Chicago who were like, hey, finally they got a quarterback that could throw. Finally, someone who could sling the rock. Something about the Windy City. Something about it. Confidence is down. I don't know. Until I see it.
What about this, Boone? Jeff, you too. What if Chicago traded out of the 1, moved to the 2, got some assets, and took a guy like Jaden Daniels?
I was in for that. That was my you know me, Klotzy. That was my if I was Ryan Poles, that's what I would have done.
Yeah,
if I was Ryan Poles, that's what I would have done. Sorry, Jeff Iafrate.
Boone, what'd you say to me earlier? I wouldn't want you as my GM. I don't want you as my GM. I'll tell you that, Boone. I love the enthusiasm, though. I do. I love it.
I love you too, brother.
All right, we got a next question here. Let's see. Okay, Mike Reed, Mailbag. How much longer till you boys get the studio you deserve? YouTube ain't gonna stop the grind of getting a studio. We're gonna fight through. We're gonna get that studio. That's our big picture
have goals
goal.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. We have goals, and one of those is being in studio, being in person. It's just it's just a different environment. It's just different.
Like the draft show,
more
boys,
electric,
so much
more
fun.
electric.
Yeah,
draft show. Yeah.
Timetable wise, if Mike Reed is looking for a timetable wise, I would say in the next 3 or 4 weeks we're looking for sponsors and ads. Once we get those, we're able to see all right, how much money are we able to bring in as a program here, and then after that, hopefully maybe in September we can. I know our goal was to have it by August, so for football season. Things happen, setbacks happen. Hopefully September is a good goal to say, hey, here we go, boys, we got one. There's so many things. We have to find ads, we have to find sponsors, and then we have to find an actual building to be able to do a studio. That's like the obstacles of it.
Xavier D says, Mailbag, why won't Booner get a buzz cut? No, don't get a buzz cut, Booner.
I'm nervous, and I don't think I'm going to go bald. I don't think I am. But as I get older, like I told you boys, like I think my hair, like I can see through a little bit.
Hey, you're manifesting. You guys are big on that. You're manifesting.
You're right. I just think if I shave my hair.
He's working. Yeah.
I think you lose hair when you're stressed out, and my stress level the last 6 months has been high. So I think like when I go like this, I think I'm hair's falling.
Oh,
hair thinning.
Don't
there's stuff you can get though.
Don't rub. Do you rub your head like that a lot?
Sometimes,
like when you're stressed.
I'm
don't touch the fingers. Don't touch the hairline. All right.
Okay.
That's a little tip. I don't know if that's.
I'm just scared if I shave it, the hair doesn't come back.
The oils. Don't let them touch that. All right.
All right. Beauty queen Jeff over here.
Don't do it. Hey,
I don't know, dude. Hey, I've been seeing my hairs falling out here. Like I could show you guys here. I've got one right here on my computer. There's a little hair. That's a Booner hair from the head. That's came from up there. So I think I've been researching it, and they say if you've been stressing out potentially, and you guys know the last 6 months we've been grinding. It's been stress in my life. And the Lions, dude,
it's good. It's not bad stress entirely.
I haven't gone to therapy. Therapy for me is football. Haven't had therapy. Therapy's just gone for 6 months.
Ubaldo, one last question. Ubaldo says, Mailbag, is the secondary the key to the Lions being a top 10 defense? I would argue the pass rush is the key. That's my thing, Ubaldo.
I think they go hand in hand, but I'd say secondary just because I think they'll be able to get a pass rush there. I think there's those question marks, but run defense, like I said, they were number 1 or 2 last year, And I think if they can get a secondary that's top 15, that equates to a top 10 defense.
I would say I wrote in my notes today. I didn't get to it. I passed over it on accident. I think the defensive line and the pass rush, like Jeff said, I think that's the biggest storyline coming out of training camp. I think that's the make or break whether or not the Lions defense takes that jump. I think if you get to the quarterback, I think the secondary is going to be really good. So I just think it's this line. If this defensive line ends up being taken a step forward, then it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We
Shout out
appreciate
Coach
all
Walt.
of you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Shout out to MicroMike. And again, we'll be covering training camp all this week, next week, the following week, every single week after that. We're locked in. Can't wait for it. We'll be at training camp next week. But boys, I appreciate you. Appreciate everyone in the chat for sticking with us. Even with all this stuff going on, no one has memberships, but you guys are still here having fun. We appreciate you for that. Tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Check out our channel, YouTube, for our videos, reels, everything else.
Scream!
And follow us on social media. Above me is all our @ so check that out if you're not following already. Until tomorrow, stay blessed out there. We'll catch you.
Love you guys.